Chapter 298. A tyrannical aura caused Su Yu to retreat continuously. In an instant, Tu Long had already seized the Yunxiang and escaped to the Yinyu Manor, heading straight for the outskirts of the city. Su Yu's eyes were about to pop, his murderous intents shooting toward the red-clothed guard. At two crucial moments, it was this person who forcefully obstructed him. Short stature, stern face, cultivation base of immortal level 3. A familiar memory flashed through his mind. It's you. This person was Inspector Baihe's guard commander. Back in the Alliance City, he had a conflict with Su Yu. What do you mean you're not you? I have received orders from Lord Bai Luo to come and investigate the death of Palace Master Zhongjian. You have committed a heinous crime and killed a deputy palace master without permission. Your crime is unforgivable. Follow me immediately to see Lord Bai Luo and await your punishment. Someone from Dynasty's headquarters finally came. Moreover, they were the worst kind of people. What was even worse was that they did not come early or late, but at the most crucial moment. Moreover, they had forcefully disturbed them, causing Zi Yunxiang to be captured. Murderous intent roared in his chest. Forcefully suppressing his anger, Su Yu said coldly, I will give the Empire an explanation regarding Zhang Jian. The person who escaped just now is the second head of the Blackwater Pirates. He has wreaked havoc everywhere and even captured the citizens of the Yinyu area. We cannot let him escape. Quick, chase after him first. Su Yu gave an anxious roar, bypassing the red-clothed leader and chasing after Tu Long, who was about to leave the city. Boom! However, a penetrating spiritual energy traversed the void and shot toward Su Yu. From the looks of it, he wanted to kill Su Yu on the spot. Su Yu's expression changed. He hurriedly employed his movement technique, dodging the attack by a hair's breadth. He then roared furiously. Chasing after the Blackwater Pirates is more important. His heart was burning with anxiety. Let's not talk about Zi Yunxiang's safety, just talking about Zi Yunxiang's appearance. Once she fell into the hands of a group of barbaric bandits, how could she, who was an outstanding beauty, escape the fate of being raped? The longer she delayed, the more likely she would be humiliated. She was as pure as ice and as pure as jade, but after suffering such a terrible experience, her life was ruined. However, the red-clothed commander was full of righteousness. The Blackwater Pirates have nothing to do with this case. This commander is only responsible for bringing you back to stand trial. Surrender immediately. Don't even think of an excuse to escape. It was as if a volcano had erupted in Su Yu's chest, and his fury soared to the sky. The priority was to get rid of evil. Zi Yunxiang's fate was clearly worrying. He clearly saw everything with his own eyes. However, in order to take revenge on Su Yu, in order to avenge a personal grudge, he actually turned a blind eye. What's more, he purposely chose to strike twice at the most crucial moment. This is cheat, undisguised, malicious revenge. Here, me, get lost. Su Yu's eyes were burning with fury. His eyes were bloodshot, and his killing intent was bone-piercing. An angry roar filled with shocking killing intent shook the clouds and reached the 9 heavens. This roar seemed to be able to shatter the clouds in the sky and burn everything to ashes. The entire silver-plumed city felt as though it had been struck by lightning, causing the hearts of hundreds of thousands of people to shrink. The red-clothed leader's body trembled involuntarily. That voice was filled with rage and monstrous, murderous intent. That pair of blood-red eyes that were burning with flames made the red-clothed leader realize that he seemed to have really angered him to the extreme. However, when he recalled his identity and the purpose of this trip, his face quickly turned cold. Humph! You roared at this commander and looked down on the Saint Monarch. Your crimes will be added to the list. Su Yu's eyes were filled with murderous intents. At this moment, Tu Long had already seized Zi Yunxiang and escaped into the sky. If he did not catch up, what awaited Zi Yunxiang was the fate of being defiled. Time was of the essence. You deserve die. It had been a long time since Su Yu had such a strong killing intent. The red-clothed leader had a stern expression. Your murderous intent is extremely strong. You are indeed a cruel person. People like you cannot be left alive. Thunderstar Finger. Suyu activated his immortal level technique, purple lightning glowing. The red-clothed leader laughed and shook his head. Insignificant skill. He lifted his finger to release a bit of spirit energy. At that moment, a powerful force engulfed Suyu's body. Pooh! The lightning in Suyu's palm was like a weak flame, instantly extinguished by the howling wind. At the same time, the remaining spirit energy struck Suyu's chest, sending him flying 100 meters away and crashing into the walls of the manor. The frightening attack caused Suyu's organs to tremble, causing him to spit out a mouthful of blood. Suyu himself was buried in the rubble. Palace Master. The people in the manor shouted anxiously, hurriedly pouncing forward to dig up the rubble. However, within the rubble, another voice suddenly rang out. Tribulation of ice and thunder. Thick murderous intents pierced through the rubble, abruptly bursting forth. Creak. In the sky, without any warning, a thunder ice dragon descended from the sky, swallowing the red-clothed leader. The attack was sudden, causing the red-clothed leader to be unprepared. The red-clothed leader casually raised his head and looked over, laughing as he shook his head. Hee, so the immortal level technique was only to attract my attention. The true killing move is here. Unfortunately, it is still an insignificant skill. But Leader Tai Mu raised his hand and grabbed. That kind of peerlessly powerful and terrifying divine decree was actually effortlessly grabbed and destroyed by a casual palm. Creak! The Thunder Dragon let out a whimper, turning into bolts of lightning. Commander Tai Mu's palm did not even have a scratch on it. The power is passable, but unfortunately, in my eyes, it is merely a struggle before death. Leader Tai Mu shook his head, taking a step toward the rubble. The people of Inu Manor gasped. The power of the tribulation of ice and thunder was enough to kill everyone present. But in the hands of the Empire of Darkness Commander, it was destroyed with a wave of his hand. Accept your fate. If I want to capture you, you have no choice. Leader Tai Mu took a step forward, his frightening aura suppressing Suyu. His eyes were filled with mockery, as well as the pleasure of revenge. The more anxious Suyu was, the more pleased he felt. That day, in front of Inspector Bai He and Palace Master Ling, he was slapped in the face by this arrogant fool. He would never forget that slap. It was one of the few humiliations he had suffered in his life. Now, Suyu had brought this upon himself and was guilty. It was the best time for revenge. However, just as Leader Tai Mu was about to capture Suyu, a destructive energy abruptly burst forth from the ruins. Buddhist Saints 8 characters. Confrontation. The tribulation of ice and thunder and Buddhist Saints 8 characters had no gaps between the two. The moment the Thunderstar Finger was dispersed, it was the tribulation of ice and thunder. The moment the tribulation of ice and thunder was dispersed, it was Buddhist Saints 8 characters. The final Buddhist Saints 8 characters was the surprise attack, the true killing move. In his carelessness, the red-clothed leader's expression turned rigid. The sound wave, which arrived in an instant, carried with it a destructive energy that was beyond compare. It was not something that someone of Suyu's level could unleash. The power of that move was enough to threaten him. Rumble, a pathetic shriek could be heard. The red-clothed leader was caught off guard and was engulfed by the sound wave. The destructive sound wave shattered his red robe, sending him flying 10 meters away, crashing into a giant rock. Pooh! In the tremor, the red-clothed leader spat out a mouthful of blood. The people of the Inu Manor were filled with shock and despair. The Palace Master had repeatedly used his trump card. His strongest killing move, Buddhist Saints 8 characters, had only caused the other party to spit out a mouthful of blood and suffer light injuries. Leader Tai Mu was too strong. He was so strong that it caused others to feel despair. The invincible Palace Master, you could only feel despair in front of him. Cough, cough. Leader Tai Mu stood up shakily. His indifferent expression was frighteningly gloomy. He, an immortal realm level 3, the leader of Inspector by his guards, had actually been plotted against by a little brat. If not for the absolute suppression of their cultivation levels, that attack would have been enough to take his life. He no longer concealed his murderous intent. Clenching his teeth, his heart filled with humiliation, Leader Tai Mu walked toward the ruins. Every step he took was accompanied by an intimidating and oppressive aura. The ground shook, the crowd was silent. Leader Tai Mu, who was filled with murderous intent, caused everyone to tremble in fear. Until he reached the ruins, Leader Tai Mu clenched his teeth and said, "Lord Bai Luo has ordered that if anyone resists stubbornly, I have the authority to kill them on the spot. Inu, you have committed a heinous crime and are unrepentant and stubborn. I will follow the Lord's orders and take your life on the spot." Rumble, Leader Tai Mu struck with his palm. The frightening spirit energy caused the ruins to descend. The ruins sank by more than half a meter. At the same time, cracking sounds could be heard as the ruins were forcefully crushed. Within the ruins, a pool of blood sprayed out like a fountain. That was the blood of Su Yu, who had been crushed into minced meat. Palace Master. The people of Inu Manor roared in sorrow. It was not easy for the nameless area to change its name to the Inu area. It was not easy for a powerful deputy palace master to appear. It was not easy for an intelligent area master to appear. The Inu area was about to become prosperous. The black water pirates were about to be destroyed, and everything was about to become prosperous. Why were the people of the headquarters so rude and unreasonable? They did not even give Palace Master Inu a chance, forcing him to the brink of death. Furious gazes were directed at Leader Tai Mu from all directions. "Humph! If you take another look, you will be executed." Leader Tai Mu calmly glanced at them, as if he was looking at a group of ants. Thump! Leader Tai Mu walked forward, kicking the ruins aside. "Even if you die without a corpse, I will bring your minced meat back to report." Looking at the pool of blood, Leader Tai Mu disapprovingly shook his head. In front of absolute power, all schemes and plots are futile. As your final trump card, that sound wave technique of yours is quite powerful. Unfortunately, to me, but at this moment, from deep within the ruins, an extremely cold voice could be heard. "Who told you that was the final trump card?" "What? He was still alive?" Leader Tai Mu's expression changed. If that sound wave technique was not the final trump card, then what was? Suddenly, his heart thumped wildly, the shadow of death suddenly descending upon him. "I said want. You. Die." Creak. Hundreds of transparent ice threads shot out from the cracks in the ruins. Leader Tai Mu, who was stepping on the ruins, was caught off guard and was tightly bound by the divine ice threads. The sharp divine ice threads sliced his body. But for someone as powerful as him, the divine ice threads could not cut into his flesh. Leader Tai Mu was shocked, then sneered. "This is your final trump card? If that is the case, I will give you another kick, sending you on your way." Huh. With a low grunt, Leader Tai Mu released his spirit energy, breaking more than half of the divine ice threads. The once indestructible divine ice threads had been permanently destroyed just like that. But from deep within the ruins, Su Yu's cold voice could be heard. "This will only make your death faster." Whoosh! Suddenly, Leader Tai Mu's body froze, lowering his head to look at his heart. His expression changed, as if he had encountered something extremely terrifying. Chapter 299. What answered him was Su Yu's cold voice from within the ruins. Space distortion. Creak. A spiraling spatial energy actually flowed out from Commander Tai Mu's chest. If one could see through it, they would notice that Leader Tai Mu's heart was being restrained by a twisting space energy. With just a thought, Su Yu could distort it and explode it. No matter how powerful Leader Tai Mu was, his heart was still a fatal weakness. Feeling death approaching, Leader Tai Mu's face turned pale. But in a moment of danger, his potential exploded. He exerted strength in his legs and shot forward. As his body moved, his heart seemed to break free from the center of the space distortion. Creak! But just as he shot forward, the divine ice threads wrapped around his body tightened. His catapulted body was rooted to the spot, unable to move. This was the use of the divine ice threads. The space distortion could ignore his defenses and twist his heart, but it could only lock him in place. Once the enemy noticed it, he could move far away from the area of the space distortion. With the powerful senses of an immortal realm level 3, it would be impossible to hide from them and twist their hearts under normal circumstances. Only by doing this would he be able to seize the opportunity to fix his body in place and catch him off guard. Suyu had shown weakness, finally causing him to relax, creating the perfect opportunity. Creak! The space energy distorted. A shattering sound came from Leader Tai Mu's chest. His heart was shattered on the spot. Bright red blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. His body felt as if its energy had been sucked out, limp and powerless. His face was filled with pain and malevolence as he roared. You dare injure me? I am a commander of the Inspector Guards. You dare injure me. After all, he was an immortal realm level 3. Even if his heart was shattered, he would not die immediately. Creak! The divine ice threads formed a long sword, pressing against his throat. Within the rubble, a silver-haired figure covered in blood crawled out with difficulty. His body was lacerated, his flesh a bloody mess. His injuries were not light. Even though Suyu had blocked Leader Tai Mu's kick in time, he was still injured. Pooh! Suyu spat out a mouthful of blood, his face filled with killing intent. Injure you? Did you really think that I would only injure you? Suyu smiled. His smile was like a flower blooming in the darkness, and it was extremely evil. Leader Suyu's pupils shrank, and his expression turned grave. There was fear deep in his eyes. You still dare to kill me? What answered him was Suyu's extremely cold eyes. What do you think? Hiss! Commander Tai Mu secretly sucked in a breath of cold air. Fear finally surged from the depths of his heart. Palace Master Inu, you better think this through. I represent the Empire's headquarters, Lord by Luo, and the law. You have already committed a heinous crime by injuring me. If you can remedy it in time, there will still be room for negotiation. If you kill me, no one in this world will be able to save you. Commander Tai Mu took a deep breath and said. As Suyu strode forward, the murderous intent on his face intensified. Are you forgetting something? Suyu sneered. In your eyes, Leader Tai Mu, I, Suyu, am already a dead man. Even if I let you go, will you be grateful and let me go? Leader Tai Mu's face was deathly pale. His actions just now had also cut off his last path of retreat. Suyu was at his wit's end. He would definitely act crazily. Clenching his teeth, Leader Tai Mu argued. If you can get Lord by Luo's forgiveness, you might not die. After all, your crimes still need to be investigated. However, if you kill me in front of everyone now, there will be no turning back. Hearing this, Suyu could not help but laugh. Ha! My crimes still need to be investigated? Dare I ask, just now, who was the one who pressured me? Who was the one who wanted to kill me? And who was the one who insisted on my crimes? Are you trying to tell me that you are abusing your position to take revenge? My crimes have not been confirmed, and the facts have not been clarified. You want to kill me first and report later? What right does such a person have to represent the Empire and the law? The consecutive questions made Leader Tai Mu speechless. His forehead was filled with cold sweat. Accept your fate. Actually, even if you were representing the Empire, Lord by Luo, or the law, I, Suyu, would still kill you. Suyu stepped forward, the tip of his sword piercing through his flesh and into his throat. Ugh! Leader Tai Mu spat out blood from his throat. His eyes were wide open, filled with dissatisfaction. His body gradually collapsed. Retrieving his divine ice threads, Suyu calmly said, Injuring me is fine. The reason you deserve to die is because you implicated Zi Yunxiang. She is only an innocent lady. His figure was fleeting. Suyu had no time to care about his injuries, chasing after Tu Long. At that time, half a cup of tea's time had passed. Tu Long had taken a lot of time to capture Zi Yunxiang, gather his subordinates in the city, and confront the guards. Coupled with his heavy injuries, his movement techniques were far from his peak. Hence, he had only managed to escape 40 miles. That was the limit of Su Yu's vision. His figure flickered as Su Yu chased after him, leaving an echo in the sky above the Inu Manor. Order, Dragon Realm Level 7 and above fighters of Inu City, follow me. His majestic voice contained a shred of the power of the Buddhist saints' 8 characters, surging forward, shaking the hearts of the people. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The fighters of the city followed, chasing after Su Yu's footsteps, chasing after too long. 100 Dragon Realm Level 7 fighters, 10 Immortal Realm Level 1s. The vast crowd flew out of Inu City like a black mass. Su Yu was leading a large group, his speed greatly reduced. Luckily, Tu Long was far away and did not notice anything. As he recovered from his injuries, he flew steadily toward the border. A day later, at the border between the Inu area and the Shinkong area, in a lair of the Blackwater Pirates, in Su Yu's line of sight, Tu Long led his men into an inconspicuous valley. It looked normal, but within the valley, there were many caves on the stone walls. Countless Blackwater Pirates were living in them. This was the gathering point of the Blackwater Pirates, which the citizens of the Inu area feared. They had attacked the place many times, but had returned in failure, suffering heavy casualties. Su Yu was anxious, forcing himself to be rational and not barge in recklessly. As the gathering point of the Blackwater Pirates, there was no one guarding outside the valley. There was definitely something strange going on. Palace Master, the great head of the Blackwater Pirates, is proficient in spells. There is an offensive spell at the entrance of the valley. If you do not know the password and barge in, the spell will be activated immediately, killing countless people. Spell? Mere bandits were proficient in mysterious spells. The previous 3 attacks of the Inu area were all based on movement techniques. We suffered heavy casualties and suffered heavy casualties. If we could safely pass through the spell with our abilities, we would be able to exterminate half of the Blackwater Pirates. Other than the leader, the second head, and the third head of the Blackwater Pirates, the rest were Immortal Realm Level 1 fighters. There were less than 10 of them. They might not be afraid of the Blackwater Pirates if they attacked together. What they did not know was that Su Yu had already killed 9 of the Immortal Realm Level 1 fighters of the Blackwater Pirates. At the moment, there were only a few Immortal Realm Level 1 fighters in the gathering point. Su Yu had a thoughtful expression. Looking at the situation, the scale of the Blackwater Pirates was not as large as he had imagined. But where did they get the ability to invade 17 cities at the same time? Disregarding their abilities, just their numbers would not be sufficient to invade 17 cities at the same time. Looks like what we are facing is not as simple as the Blackwater Pirates, Su Yu said meaningfully. There was definitely an invisible hand behind the chaos. This was not something that a single Blackwater Pirate could do. In fact, Su Yu could not help but wonder if Tu Long had really taken the risk to enter the city alone just to plunder. Palace Master, what do we do? If we force our way into the spell, our brothers will suffer heavy casualties. Every Blackwater Pirate that enters and exits the city knows the password to the spell. In all these years, have you not captured any scattered pirates and interrogated them for the password? The person accompanying Su Yu laughed bitterly. If it was so easy to obtain the password, the Blackwater Pirates would have been taken down by us. That password changes every half a day. Furthermore, the password can be changed at any time. As long as the other party is alerted, our efforts would be futile. Is that so? Su Yu thought. A moment later, Su Yu brought the group to a secluded area, sat down cross-legged, and said, "Do not disturb me for an hour. Maintain secrecy." Whoosh! Su Yu's invisible soul left his body, floating toward the valley. The soul was formless and did not exist in the physical world. Even a spell could not detect it. Hence, Su Yu passed through the spell, which was filled with killing intent, and entered the valley with ease. Scanning the area, there were very few fighters in the valley. Almost all of the Immortal Realm Level 1 fighters had been killed by Su Yu. Only 100 Dragon Realm fighters were left. Once the spell was activated, the troops from the Inu area could charge in and kill them all in an instant. Suddenly, Su Yu felt Tu Long's presence and floated over. It was a heavily guarded cave. It was spacious, bright, and luxuriously decorated. There were 3 people in the cave. One was Zi Yunxiang. Another was Tu Long. The last person was leaning against a throne made of beast skin. He had a tall and straight figure, wearing a black robe and a bronze mask. Apart from his eyes, nose, and mouth, everything else was hidden under the mask. First leader, I was incompetent and could not complete the mission. Tu Long knelt on one knee, extremely respectful. The man with the bronze mask was the leader of the Black Water Pirates, the first leader. No one had seen his true appearance, as those who had were all dead. The first leader leaned against the throne, opening his mouth to speak. Under the mask, his voice was rough, loud, and powerful, as if it could pierce through one's heart. You are injured. Tu Long had an ashamed expression. Palace Master Yin Yu is cunning. I was ambushed and only managed to survive due to luck. The first leader's eyes were calm, a shred of surprise flashing past. Oh, to be able to make you fall into an ambush, this Yin Yu is not simple. Tu Long's shame deepened. I was useless. I only managed to capture her, but did not bring back the key that Palace Master Yin Yu took from the relic. Key? Su Yu stood in the hall in his soul form, not missing a single word of their conversation. Hearing the word door, Su Yu's heart shook. The plated bamboo hat man that Su Yu killed in the relic was indeed the same as Hai Kuangren, coming for the so-called key. Tu Long probably thought that the key was with Su Yu, as he was able to leave the relic alive. Hence, the 17 cities were in chaos, and he took the risk to enter the cities. Do not blame yourself. Capturing Zi Yunxiang is already half the battle. Next, we only need to exchange her for the key. The first leader calmly said, his expression calm. Hearing this, Tu Long heaved a sigh of relief. He glanced at Zi Yunxiang, hesitating. First leader, how should we deal with her? The first leader lifted his gaze. The beautiful figure was reflected in his eyes lighting up. What a beautiful woman! A cold expression flashed past his lips. Since we know of the existence of the key, of course we cannot keep her. With Palace Master Yin Yu's cunning, if he does not see Zi Yunxiang in person, he will not easily fall for the trick and hand over the key. Tu Long was worried. The first leader had a mocking expression. Who told you that I want to kill her now? I do not wish to burn the zither and cook the crane. I naturally have to have a taste of such a beautiful woman first. Chapter 300. The first head calmly nodded his head. Go. Also, get third brother to inform Yin Yu to come over for the exchange. You should rest for a while. Looking at Tu Long's departing figure, the first head's eyes glowed with a cold light, his lips forming a cold arc. The pitiful Zi Yunxiang could not move her body. Her eyes were filled with fear and hatred as she was brought away by 2 maids to wash up. What awaited her was the fate of being defiled. Hearing this, Su Yu's heart tightened. When Zi Yunxiang brushed past him, a crystalline tear rolled down her cheek. There was despair, unwillingness, grief. Su Yu's body trembled. She was probably grieving because Su Yu had not been able to save her. Zi Yunxiang, clenching his fists, Su Yu stared at the bronze man, then quickly retreated, returning to his body. The bronze man looked in Su Yu's direction thoughtfully, his eyes squinting. What happened just now? This person's senses were shocking. To be able to detect a trace of Su Yu's existence. After a cup of tea's time, Su Yu's soul had already left his body for close to an hour. Su Yu's soul felt cold all over, about to be frozen. Luckily, he was not far away. After returning to his body, warmth assaulted him. But before he could recover, Su Yu suddenly stood up, his eyes filled with anxiety. Listen to my orders. Lie in ambush on both sides of the valley. Kill one person. Whoosh, whoosh. A large group of people moved stealthily, slowly arriving outside the valley. At this moment, the outside of the valley rippled like water, and 2 figures flew out from within. One of them was Tu Long. The other person was unfamiliar, short, and had a knife scar on his face. His face was black, and he was filled with ferocity. Second brother, there is no need to send me off. I can go alone. I'm only delivering a letter. There will be no danger. The short person was the third head of the Black Water Pirates. Too Long should have been resting, but he had personally sent them off. A shred of hesitation appeared on his face. I am not worried about the danger to the Inu manor, but the third head's face turned serious. You mean to say that we should keep the bow after the birds have been killed? Until now, I have not been able to investigate his background. I can only vaguely find out that with his strength alone, it is more than enough to exterminate all of us black water pirates. His strength is only below the palace master of the Empire of Darkness. We have been ordered by him for many years to search for that ruin. Now that we have succeeded, and we know so many of his secrets, it is inevitable that we will be silenced. After saying this, Too Long stared deeply at the second leader as a bitter smile appeared on his face. So, second brother, take this opportunity to leave and don't come back. Ever since he took control of the Black Water Pirates, they only exist in name. The third boss had a sorrowful expression as he shouted, "Second brother, what about you?" Too Long laughed bitterly. I, of course, will stay behind and delay him. Otherwise, if you and I leave at the same time and he notices, we won't be able to live past the day. Don't worry, second brother will think of a way to escape. A hint of confidence appeared on the corner of Too Long's mouth. For the past few years, I've always been on guard against this day. I've already secretly altered the formation. As long as he's within the formation, I can trap him within it for a few days. No matter how strong he is, after a few days, he won't be able to find me even though the sky is vast and the earth is far away. Scheming with a tiger. With Too Long's wit, he would definitely take precautions. The third head looked at second brother's weak body and clenched his fists angrily. Second brother, take care of yourself. If you manage to escape, come to the forest of darkness to look for me. Too Long smiled and nodded, and go. Oh yes, remind Palace Master Inu that the first head's abilities are unfathomable. Zi Yunxiang was about to be visited by the first head. After that, she would be massacred. Even if Inu really came to exchange for her, it would be useless. Second brother, why do you remind him? In the eyes of outsiders, the first head is only an immortal realm level 2 peak. Palace Master Inu would chase us here carelessly and create chaos, giving second brother a chance to escape. The third head was confused. Too Long chuckled and sighed. Second brother only cherishes talent. After so many years, he was the only one who could almost force me to my death. It's really a pity that he came here to throw away his life for no reason. Furthermore, he would only bring more fighters when he is prepared. The situation would be even more chaotic, and I would have a greater chance of escaping. Do you understand? Appreciating Palace Master Inu's talent, the third head understood Too Long's intentions. Too Long was proud of his wit. Now that he had met his match, he could not help but respect him. Second brother, I'm leaving. The third head nodded and turned to fly away. Too Long looked at the figure of the third head and returned to the valley. After Too Long returned, Su Yu's gaze flashed, attack. Whoosh whoosh. A group of people suddenly flew out and surrounded the third head, who had not gone far. The third head was shocked by the sudden attack. Looking around, he realized that the fighters he had to pay attention to were only Immortal Realm Level 1. He had a ferocious expression. Hee, what a bunch of daring people. You dare to kill me at the entrance of the Blackwater Pirates? I do not want to know who you are, and there is no need for me to know. Against arrogant people like you, I only have one word for you. Kill. But he had just finished his sentence when a terrifying sound wave enveloped him with a destructive force. Who, with a pathetic cry, half of the third head's chest was blasted into pieces. He was left with only half of his life. Suyu was pressed for time and had no time to waste. He attacked with his ultimate technique. Flying over, Suyu stepped on his chest. Speak, the password for the spell. The third head had just come out, and there was no way he did not know where the password was. The third head was in a daze from Suyu's attack. Under interrogation, he easily said the password, 100 Years Mountain. 100 Years Mountain? Suyu remembered, exerting force through his feet to kill him. There was no sympathy in the depths of his eyes. His brotherly relationship with Too Long did not mean that his past acts of burning, killing, and plundering could be forgiven. When they met, this person had wanted to kill all of them without a second word. It could be seen how ruthless he was. Keeping this kind of person alive would only be a disaster. If Suyu were let him off today, more innocent people would be harmed in the future. The 100 people following him did not feel that Suyu was ruthless. Instead, they were excited. The hands of the second head and third head of the Blackwater Pirates were stained with the blood of the people of the Inu area. They deserved to die. Let's go, Suyu said coldly, leading the group forward. Arriving at the entrance of the valley, Suyu observed the spell. It was a giant spell that was 100 meters long and wide. Looking at it, it was pitch black. Palace Master, we will be the vanguard. The people following the army were filled with excitement. In many years, this was the first time they had obtained the password. Suyu's pupils dilated. Wait, something is wrong inside. What a thick stench of blood. They finally felt that something was wrong. Suyu's gaze flashed. All of you wait here. I will enter alone. 100 Years Mountain. Suyu let out a light grunt. The spell had indeed opened a tunnel that could only allow one person to pass through. Suyu entered with a flash. The tunnel was very long. Moreover, Suyu did not know if it was an illusion, but he could faintly sense the presence of a person's aura within the spell. But Zi Yunxiang was in danger, and Suyu had no time to care. He stepped into the valley. At that moment, the shocking stench of blood assaulted his senses. Looking over, the entire valley was filled with bloody corpses. Broken limbs were strewn all over the place, heads rolling on the ground. More than 100 corpses filled the narrow valley. Both sides of the mountain walls were dyed red with blood. It was like hell on earth. Looking over, there was not a single living being. What had happened in the valley in such a short amount of time? All the bandits had been killed in a short amount of time. Who was it? Could it be the so-called first head? What kind of abilities did he have to be able to kill so many people in such a short amount of time? Looking at the deathly silent valley, Suyu was shocked. What kind of terrifying abilities did the first head have? Suppressing the uneasiness in his heart, Suyu's figure floated into the cave, looking for Zi Yunxiang. Even though the caves were crisscrossed, the size of the caves and the level of decorations indicated different identities. A luxurious resting abode attracted Suyu's attention. Entering with a flash, he found Zi Yunxiang on a bed made of snow-white beast skin. She had just been washed, her body unable to move as she was placed on the snow-white bed. A thin blanket gently covered her exquisite and delicate body. The rising and falling seductive lines, the elegant and beautiful face, the snow-white shoulders, the faintly discernible ravine, all gave people an irresistible temptation. Suyu felt a ball of wildfire burning in his stomach. He had the urge to pounce forward and conquer her, but 2 drops of tears rolled down her jade-like face. Suyu was suddenly clear-headed. He blamed himself. To think that he would have such thoughts at such a time. The current Zi Yunxiang was in the most hopeless moment of her life. Yunxiang, Suyu called softly, stepping forward and tapping on her neck, releasing the restraints on her body. At that moment, Zi Yunxiang regained her senses. Her petite body trembled. Without even turning back to confirm, she pounced into Suyu's embrace with a whimper, her petite body shivering. How rare and precious was Suyu's voice at this moment. How fortunate was it? How overjoyed was it? How could she have heard wrongly? Oh, you are finally here. I thought that you had already died in the hands of the red-clothed guards. But the one crying for Zi Yunxiang was not herself, but Suyu. Was she still concerned about him at a time like this? Suyu's heart was moved, his guilt growing. Yunxiang, let's leave this place first. We cannot stay here for long. Whoosh, Suyu grabbed the snow-white beast skin, wrapping Zi Yunxiang's beautiful and smooth body in his embrace. He then quickly shot out of the cave. However, just as Suyu was about to dash out, a voice rang out from nowhere, almost right next to his ears. Hee. That is to say, someone really followed too long into the valley and eavesdropped on my conversation. Suyu's pupils dilated. To be able to appear behind him without him noticing? What kind of terrifying abilities did this person have? Looking back, A black-robed man with a face covered in blood stood on the stone wall with his arms crossed. He had a faint smile on his face. First leader. Suyu was anxious. Facing the first leader made him feel like he was facing Ling Xiaotian. What terrifying abilities. Hee, I have waited a long time for you. Palace Master Inu. The first leader lowered his arms. Only then did he realize that his hands were covered in hot blood. Within the valley, all the bandits had been massacred by him alone. Chapter 301. Fresh blood, a smile, a bronze mask. A chilling aura surged into the depths of his soul. Shua, Suyu flew away. However, just as he moved his feet, the figure in front of him blurred. The black-robed man smiled faintly and appeared in front of him as if he had teleported. I've searched far and wide for you, yet you've delivered yourself to me. Hand over the key. Suyu's heart was filled with solemnity, as this person's strength was unimaginable. What's the difference between handing it over or not? Suyu asked in a serious voice. He did not explain that he did not have a jade box with him. The other party would not believe him. His explanation was futile, and there was no need to waste time. The black-robed man smiled as he glanced at Zi Yunxiang. He spoke in an elegant manner. Haha. In any case, you are a deputy palace master. Considering this, I will naturally treat you generously. The difference is, if you hand it over, I'll kill you first and then slowly savor your woman. If you don't hand it over, I'll savor your woman first and then I'll kill you after you've enjoyed enough. His casual choice was filled with boundless arrogance. In his eyes, Suyu had no choice. Regardless of whether Suyu handed her over or not, he would enjoy Suyu's woman. The only difference was whether Suyu would look on helplessly as his woman was defiled. Make your choice. You only have 2 breaths of time. The black-robed man chuckled. 1. Suyu's whole body tensed up. In Suyu's embrace, Zi Yunxiang's body trembled, her jade-like hands grabbing on his Suyu's shirt. Her eyes were apologetic, her red lips trembling. I'm sorry. I've implicated you. If Suyu had not chased after him alone, how could he have fallen into the hands of the black-robed man? He was already deeply indebted to Suyu, and now that he had implicated him, he felt even more ashamed to face Suyu. This was a debt that he would never be able to repay, nor would he have the chance to repay. 2. The black-robed man softly said the number that would decide his fate. As for Suyu, there was no movement. Your choice will allow you to live a little longer. The smile on the black-robed man's face turned cold. His figure blurred as he said, Look at me strangely. Your woman is in my arms. However, just as the black-robed man disappeared, time, acceleration. The space-time around Suyu suddenly accelerated by 3 times. The black-robed man's figure, which was hard to see with the naked eye, seemed to be moving in slow motion as he flew over like an ordinary person. Divine ice threads. Seizing the opportunity, Suyu shot out divine ice threads from the divine ice ring on his finger, blocking in front of the black-robed man. Without any hesitation, Suyu's left eye flickered with a deep red light. Spatial shift. Chila. The red light enshrouded Suyu and Zi Yunxiang, sinking them into the space. Under the acceleration of time, everything was as fast as thunder. The smile on the black-robed man's face suddenly froze, and his face immediately turned gloomy. You want to leave? However, a large mass of divine ice threads flew away. The black-robed man snorted disdainfully. A mere low-grade divine artifact that can only unleash a little of its power. What can it do to me? Ho! The black-robed man gave a light shout and suddenly struck out with his palm, instantly breaking all the divine ice threads. At this point, all the divine ice threads in the divine ice ring had been destroyed. The divine ice ring was completely destroyed. Suyu felt his heartache. The divine artifact that had accompanied him for so long had finally been destroyed. Fortunately, the momentary resistance had bought Suyu some time. When the repercussions of the palm energy attacked them, Suyu and Zi Yunxiang had already successfully teleported. Chi. At the entrance of the valley, there was a ripple in the space. Suyu carried Zi Yunxiang and fell out of the ripple, appearing in front of the spell. According to common sense, he could teleport 10 miles in one go. However, the exit was blocked by the spell, and he could not directly pass through it. Without hesitation, Suyu stepped into the spell. It was only 100 meters wide, and he could pass through it in the blink of an eye. However, the danger of death lingered on his soul, and he could not get rid of it. Merely escaping from the valley was of no use. With the opponent's unfathomable abilities, even if he escaped 1,000 miles away, he would still be easily caught. They had not escaped the danger yet. Whoosh! Almost at the same time he stepped into the spell, the sound of something slicing through the air could be heard behind him. Looking back, it was the black-robed man who had caught up in an instant. They were less than 100 meters apart. So fast, even faster than he had imagined. You want to escape from me with such insignificant skills? What joke? The black-robed man laughed in disdain. His laughter was like a cat toying with a dying mouse. Suyu was alarmed, as if he had fallen into an ice cellar. He was going to die here. At this critical moment, Suyu made a prompt decision. Seal of time. A purple dragon whizzed out, freezing the black-robed man in the seal of time. In the most precious moment, Suyu brought Zi Yunxiang with him, quickly passing through the spell. However, just as they were about to step out of the spell, the time limit was up. The black-robed man was like a ghost, catching up in an instant. Stay here. The black-robed man let out a cold laugh, striking at Suyu's back. An icy cold energy pierced through Suyu's body. Before the palm even reached him, Suyu's internal organs had already been shaken, on the verge of collapse. The spirit energy in his body was in chaos, unable to circulate. At the most critical moment, Suyu had fallen into a critical situation where he was unable to move. Was he going to die here today? Could it be that he would never have the chance to see Xiener and Jingyu again? If he died, who would hold up Xiener's sky? If he died, who would tell Jingyu that he, Suyu, had personally come to the Jinlong continent? A strong sense of unwillingness burned in his chest. Too long. Suddenly, Suyu's eyes shot out a cold light, shooting toward a certain spot within the spell. How long are you going to hide? Within the spell, at a hidden spot, a bolt of spirit energy rippled. Too Long had a surprised expression. You knew I was here? Before this, when Suyu had barged into the spell, he had faintly sensed that there was a person hiding within the spell. However, he had been anxious to save Zi Yunxiang and did not care. Now it seemed like there was only one person, Too Long. With his intelligence, he would not be so foolish as to barge in when a massacre occurred in the valley. The black-robed man stopped his attack, looking in the direction of Too Long, his expression filled with mockery. You are indeed hiding here. Looks like you have been on guard against me. I wonder how it feels to personally witness the brother you have nurtured for so many years being killed. Too Long clenched his fists, his eyes filled with hatred. How painful was it to watch a brother who had followed him for so many years being slaughtered without being able to do anything about it. Even though I knew that this day would come sooner or later. First Head, you are too cruel. Too Long's voice was low and hoarse, filled with indescribable grief and anger. This day had come too quickly. In his expectations, the first master would at least kill him after obtaining the key completely. But who could have expected that after capturing Zi Yunxiang, the first head would attack immediately, messing up all his plans? None of his brothers had managed to escape. The black-robed man laughed coldly. You are so smart. How could you not have expected that I would kill you? For safety's sake, now that I am about to succeed, I naturally have to get rid of all of you as soon as possible. Too Long clenched his fists, his furious eyes looking as though they were about to bleed. You die a horrible death. Too Long's eyes were about to pop out of their sockets, letting out a furious roar as he stomped on the ground. Beneath his feet, he seemed to be stepping on a strange symbol, a bolt of spirit energy passing through his feet into the symbol. At that moment, the symbol started to spin. The space within the formation solidified at an extremely fast speed. Whoosh! Without a word, Too Long charged out of the spell before the space within the spell froze. However, Suyu was even faster than him. Whoosh! Suyu carried Zi Yunxiang and charged out of the spell before the space froze. The black-robed man was stunned. Then his expression changed. Be asterisk starred. What did you do to the spell? What answered him was the spell, which was freezing at a terrifying speed. Tulong's expression was tense and grave, barely escaping the spell before the space froze. At that moment, he had the time to reply with hatred. Of course it was specially prepared for you. I had long predicted that this day would come, hence I studied spells for 3 years, barely reaching the stage where I could modify your spell. Now that the space within the ravine has been sealed, you will not have a chance to come out within 3 days. But what shocked Tulong was a cold mockery coming from the space behind him. Is that so? Whoosh! A palm actually reached out from the array and grabbed Tulong's right shoulder. The black-robed man slowly stepped forward, his face full of mockery. I have to admit that you are very smart, self-taught with spells. Unfortunately, you want to modify my spell with just this little bit of knowledge? You overestimate yourself. Crack! Tulong's right shoulder was twisted into pieces at once. His entire arm was twisted off. Blood dyed the sky, broken limbs flying everywhere. It was a shocking scene, shocking everyone. With a horrible shriek, Tulong was quickly pulled into the spell. Even though the black-robed man thought highly of himself, it seemed that he was unable to dispel the modified spell. He needed to capture Tulong alive for him to dispel the spell himself. Otherwise, he would have left the spell directly. Why would he need to capture Tulong again? In a split second, Suyu understood. The black-robed man was merely putting on an act. The modified spell had a great restrictive effect on him. Space distortion. At the critical moment, Suyu finally made his move. A distorted space abruptly engulfed the black-robed man's right hand. The black-robed man's pupils dilated. This power of distortion was enough to cripple his right arm. Making a prompt decision, the black-robed man let go of Tulong, quickly retracting his hand. At the same time, Suyu took a step forward, pulling Tulong, who was about to enter the spell out. How dare you? The black-robed man was furious, but he could do nothing about the distortion of space in front of him. He could only watch as Suyu pulled Tulong away. Buzz, the spell shook, the space completely freezing. It was as if the black-robed man had been frozen in place. Other than his eyes glowing with a fierce light, his body could not move. Whoosh! He had finally escaped. Time acceleration, seal of time, space transportation, space control. This was the first time Suyu had used all his abilities against an enemy. The difference between the two could be described as a chasm. Why did you save me? Tulong clutched his broken right arm, fresh blood flowing. He looked at the ground dejectedly, sighing. Suyu did not need to save him. Even if he had killed him, the black-robed man would still be unable to dispel the spell trapped within. In that situation, it would have been easier for Suyu to kill him than to save him. Suyu looked at him, calmly saying, "If you want to die so badly, I can grant you your wish now." He had saved Tulong because of what he had told the third head previously, to remind him of the black-robed man's abilities. So you could see Tulong's desire to cherish a talent who had met his match. Tulong froze, lifting his eyes to look at Zi Yunxiang, who was unconscious in Suyu's embrace. He let out a bitter laugh. "I nearly caused your woman's death. I have sinned deeply. You can deal with me however you want." The black water pirates were completely annihilated. His arm was crippled, and he would be disabled for the rest of his life. Tulong was disheartened, his hopes dashed, and he gave up on resisting fate. Chapter 302. Suyu grabbed it instinctively. Within the jade bottle was an elixir. Spirit Fate Elixir. Suyu was shocked. His eyes glowed fiercely. Where did this elixir come from? Tulong shrugged. "I am a bandit after all. At such a close distance, my ability to steal is not low." After saying this, he looked toward the black-robed man. His robes were a little messy. The black-robed man's pupils dilated, flames of fury burning in his eyes. "You found it in his robes?" Suyu's gaze turned serious. The black-robed man must have stolen the elixir from Tulong's robes when he captured him. But Suyu was shocked. How could a mere leader of the Black Water Pirates have a spirit fate elixir that only Vice Palace Masters possessed? Too long. You deserve to die. Suddenly, the spell formation shook violently. The black-robed man who had been sealed was still able to speak. Tu Long's expression changed. Not good. Leave quickly. This spell will not trap him for long. The effect of the spell was much weaker than he had expected. Suyu's gaze flashed. He could not stay here for long. Bringing Tu Long and Zi Yunxiang, he gathered the strong fighters outside the valley and returned to the Yinyu Manor. Tu Long was imprisoned in the Yinyu Manor's prison. Zi Yunxiang was sent back to her room by Suyu, and the maids took good care of her. As for Suyu, he immediately went into seclusion with the spirit fate elixir in his hands. The situation was dire. An extra bit of ability meant an extra layer of protection. Taking a deep breath, Suyu opened his mouth and swallowed the spirit fate elixir. At that moment, a raging wave of energy roared within Suyu's body. The shackles between the Dragon Realm and Immortal Realm finally showed signs of loosening. The realm of Immortal Realm was the true realm of a strong fighter. At that time, he could release his spirit energy, easily suppressing any Dragon Realm fighter. The master of the Lucian faction was only at the Immortal Realm lower tier. And now, Suyu was about to reach their level. Filled with excitement, Suyu quietly waited for the energy to cleanse him, his mind beginning to comprehend many techniques. Buddhist Saint's 8 characters have been stuck at the entry level for a long time. It finally showed signs of breaking through the lower tier and reaching the next level. As for the Thunderstar finger of the 9 fingers of imaginary thunder, after brewing for a long time, it showed signs of breaking through the first level. Slightly behind was the Heaven Sun gazing at air. It was still quite a distance away from mastering the first layer. Suyu calmed his heart and concentrated on his training. For several days, the whole city celebrated. The news of the destruction of the Black Water Pirates spread like wildfire. Thus, the siege of the 17 cities collapsed. The Black Water Pirates, which had troubled the Yinyu area for many years, were perfectly resolved within a short period of time after Palace Master Yinyu took office. In an instant, Suyu's reputation was unparalleled. On this day, at the border of the Yinyu area, 2 figures, one yellow and one green, entered the Yinyu area. The yellow-clothed woman was in front. She was about 20 years old, tall, and had an ordinary appearance. Her lips were thin, and her eyes were long and narrow. Her appearance was bitter and unkind. His cultivation base had reached Immortal Level 2 peak. Compared to Zhang Jian, it was several levels stronger. Palace Master and Fong, it's enough to send them here. From now on, I alone will be enough. The green-clothed woman behind her was 25 or 26 years old. She had a very beautiful appearance. Her eyebrows were picturesque, and her skin was soft and supple. Her figure was tall and slender, and her curves were unique. Surprisingly, it was a rare and beautiful woman. What was even more shocking was that her cultivation base had reached Immortal Level 3 lower tier. Hearing this, Palace Master and Fong stopped in her tracks, turning back to glare. It was not difficult to see the jealousy in her eyes. They were both women, and their ages were not far apart. However, the difference in their abilities and appearance was so obvious. Zhou Ruoding, who did you say was here to send you off? I am here on Palace Master Ling's orders to summon Suyu to the Lingxiao Palace. You are thinking too much. Palace Master and Fong was a deputy palace master, ranked 4th among the 10 great deputy palace masters. In terms of abilities, she was second only to the top 3 among the 10 great deputy palace masters. The beautiful woman called Zhou Ruoding raised her head arrogantly, her lips forming a mocking smile. I am a first-grade servant under Lord Bai Luo. I am here on orders to summon Suyu back for interrogation. You better think this through. Are you worthy of cooperating with me? In front of the Supreme 7 Lords of Darkness, a mere deputy palace master, unless he was one of the top few, was not worth looking at. You, Palace Master and Fong bit her teeth, her heart filled with hatred. Lord Bai Luo had sent Inspector Bai He and herself, Zhou Ruoding, to investigate the matter of Zhang Jian's death. They had already been waiting at Ling Xiaoyan's Lingxiao Palace. Shui Yao and Feng Qing had already been detained at the Lingxiao Palace, awaiting their punishment. Only Su Yu, who had sent leader Tai Mu, had not received any news even after a few days. That was why Zhou Ruoding had come personally. Ling Xiaotian had sensed that something was amiss and had sent Deputy Palace Master and Feng to follow Su Yu, in case anything happened to Su Yu. Now, Zhou Ruoding had used Lord by Luo to suppress her, causing her to feel indignant. Humph! Is a mere servant worth being so proud of? Zhou Ruoding continued to mock her sarcastic words. He, Lord by Luo's servant, is not something anyone can become. At least, it is not a position that Palace Master and Feng can take. Her sarcastic words caused Palace Master and Feng to be speechless. Lord by Luo was a strong fighter of the Seven Lords of Darkness. Even if she was a servant, she was definitely a peerless woman, 1 in 10,000. First-class looks and top-notch cultivation talent were both indispensable. Even if Palace Master and Feng were to lower herself and beg to serve Lord by Luo, she would not have the right to do so. At the very least, she would be able to pass the test of looks. Don't you dare be insolent. Palace Master and Feng let out a light grunt, minding her own business as she flew toward Inu City. In the confrontation, she was at a disadvantage. In her heart, she was vexed. This matter had nothing to do with her, but she had been implicated by Palace Master Inu, causing her to be mocked by Zhou Ruoding. Her reputation had been tarnished. In her heart, her favorable impression of Su Yu had completely disappeared. Zhou Ruoding let out a cold laugh, flying to catch up. A day later, Inu Manor. Su Yu had finished comprehending his cultivation technique. Buddhist Saint's 8 characters was just a matter of time. At that time, the power of the word Lin would increase by more than double. The power that it could unleash was incomparable to the entry level. The difference between the two was like heaven and earth. Even now, with his improvements, the power of the word Lin was incomparable to before. He believed that if he met Leader Tai Mu again, he would be able to put up a fight. Heaven's Sun gazing at air had improved slightly, still a distance away from Stage 1 top class. However, he would definitely be able to break through in the future. Finally, it was the 9 fingers of imaginary thunder that did not disappoint him. Under the acceleration of time, he had finally broken through to Stage 1 top class. At this point, the Thunderstar finger was completely at the top class. Its power was also twice as strong as when it was at the upper class level. So he was looking forward to the power it contained. After completing his cultivation technique, he was still bitterly trying to break through the bottleneck. With that shocking medicinal power, the bottleneck between Dragon Realm and Immortal Realm had not been broken through after 3 days and 3 nights. The medicinal power of the Spirit Fate Elixir had been depleted by more than 30%, but he was still unable to break through the bottleneck. As expected of the Immortal Realm bottleneck, it is extraordinarily difficult, so you could not help but click his tongue. Ever since he had started training, he had never encountered a bottleneck as difficult as the Immortal Realm. Luckily, after 3 days and 3 nights, there was only a thin layer left of the bottleneck, and he was about to break through. Bolts of spirit energy gathered above Su Yu's head as if they had been summoned. When it was too dense, it formed a mist of spirit energy. A strange phenomenon appeared above Su Yu's head. This was a sign that he was about to enter the Immortal Realm. Delighted, Su Yu calmed himself down and focused on breaking through the Immortal Realm bottleneck. At the same time, in the sky above the Inu Manor, 2 uninvited guests arrived unexpectedly. Inu, come out and receive the edict. Zhou Ruoding stood in the sky above the Inu Manor, lowering her head as she announced coldly. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. All the experts of the Inu Manor came out, their expressions changing as they looked at the 2 of them. They did not recognize Zhou Ruoding, but they recognized the 4th Deputy Palace Master and Feng. With regards to Zhou Ruoding's shout, Su Yu, who was at the most critical juncture of his breakthrough, could not respond. The many experts of Inu Manor did not have the right to respond. The instant silence caused Zhou Ruoding to frown. Palace Master and Fong had a gloating smile, her expression serious as she scolded, "People of the Inu Manor, why are you not kowtowing to me when you see me?" This, logically, they were citizens of the Inu area and should only kowtow to Palace Master Inu. But in general, they were citizens of the Empire of Darkness. In terms of class, if the other Palace Masters forced them to kneel, they would not be able to refute. Looking at each other, the people of the Inu Manor hesitated for a moment, but knelt down unwillingly. Greetings to Palace Master and Fong. Compared to Zhou Ruoding's awkward silence, Palace Master and Fong's influence was greater. The two of them exchanged blows in secret, and Palace Master and Fong managed to turn the tables. Her face was filled with pride. Palace Master and Fong looked down from above and said casually, "Tell me, where is Inu? Get him to come out." Palace Master and Fong's tone was as if she was talking to a subordinate. Within the crowd, Fan Haixing's old face was calm. Reporting to Palace Master and Fong, Palace Master Inu is currently training and should not be disturbed. Why don't the two of you rest in the house for a moment, while I inform him? Hearing this, Palace Master and Fong's eyebrows twitched. What an audacious servant! Do you have the right to question my orders? I asked you to speak, so speak. Where is he? How could she tolerate her dignity being challenged in front of Zhou Ruoding? Zhou Ruoding's expression turned cold. Humph. Is he worthy of making me wait for him? Hearing this, the people of the Inu Manor were furious. Insolence! What kind of person did these two women treat Palace Master Inu as? Fan Haixing looked at the two of them, sighing, "He's there. Please wait for a moment." Palace Master seems to be at his most critical juncture. The two women looked over, and it was not difficult for them to detect the obscure changes in the weather in front of a certain secret room. Palace Master and Fong let out a gasp of surprise. Breaking through to the immortal realm? His training speed is quite fast. Whoosh! Palace Master and Fong arrived in a flash, landing in front of the secret room. She frowned, lightly scolding. "Put your training aside. I have something to discuss with you. Come out." Her words were not polite, and she did not care that Su Yu was at the critical juncture of his breakthrough. Bang! But a green shadow flashed past, breaking the stone door with a palm. Zhou Ruoding was impatient. Pretentious. "Do you need me to invite you out?" Su Yu was at his most critical juncture. How could he have the mood to deal with the two of them? Chapter 303. Stop! Zi Yunxiang, who had sensed the commotion outside, hurried over. Seeing the pained expression on Su Yu's face, she was shocked. Shreds of frenzied spiritual energy spurted out from Su Yu's body continuously. This was a sign that he was about to go berserk. If he did not control it in time, Su Yu would fail in his breakthrough if he was lucky, or die if he was unlucky. Zhou Ruoding glanced sideways and saw a beautiful woman with a purple complexion that was not inferior to hers enter her field of vision. However, he was merely at the Dragon Realm. Zhou Ruoding's cold eyes were filled with disdain. "Stand aside. You are not allowed to interfere when I am doing this." Zi Yunxiang was anxious and angry. This imperial court's special envoy was too overbearing. It did not concern Su Yu's safety at all. With a flash in her eyes, Zi Yunxiang looked anxiously at Palace Master and Fong, who was quietly waiting at the side. "Palace Master and Fong, please stop this person. Palace Master Inu is at a crucial moment and cannot be disturbed." Palace Master and Fong frowned, her face cold and emotionless. "What does this cultivation have to do with me? Can't you just give up on breaking through?" If Su Yu could restrain the spiritual energy in his body in time and give up on his breakthrough, he could prevent himself from going berserk. However, if he failed to break through the bottleneck between Dragon Transformation and Heaven Ascension, he would need even more energy the next time. One Spirit Fate elixir could barely help Su Yu achieve a breakthrough. The next time, the pill would lose its effect. In other words, this was Su Yu's only chance to make a breakthrough. Zi Yunxiang said anxiously, "Palace Master and Fong, seeing that we are both Vice Palace Masters, I beg you to help him." In her anxiety, Zi Yunxiang even lowered her voice and begged. Unexpectedly, Palace Master and Fong did not sympathize with him. Instead, her face was filled with disgust. Umph, I hate people like you the most. So what if we're both Vice Palace Masters? Did I ever owe him a favor? Why must we help him? Zi Yunxiang was so anxious that tears welled up in her eyes. Her mind was filled with Su Yu's comforting words. A few days ago, it was Su Yu who risked his life to charge into the Black Water Pirates alone and rescue her. Now, he could only look on helplessly as an evil woman took advantage of Su Yu's most dangerous moment to do evil. But Zi Yunxiang pleaded bitterly. Whoosh! Palace Master and Fong was impatient. She frowned and flicked her sleeves. A gust of wind blew over, sending Zi Yunxiang flying 10 meters away. Woo! Zi Yunxiang let out a muffled groan. Blood leaked out of the corner of her mouth, and her pretty face paled. This action caused the people of the Inu Manor, who were kneeling on the ground, to glare angrily. Even with Fan Haixing's calmness, he couldn't help but be slightly angry. Palace Master and Fong. Even if you disregard the fact that we're both Vice Palace Masters, there's no need for you to hurt her, right? Not only was this woman cold, but she was also abnormally rude and unreasonable. Palace Master and Fong coldly glanced at the people who were glaring at her. Her slender eyes emitted a cold glint. She opened her mouth and sneered, "A bunch of cowardly slaves. If you stare at me one more time, I will dig your eyes out." The people of Inu Manor were furious, but did not dare to say anything. They secretly clenched their fists, and the anger in their hearts was indescribable. How could Hall Master and Fong be considered a deputy Hall Master? Not only did he not help his own people, but he also watched as an outsider took advantage of the situation. However, when Zi Yunxiang pleaded for mercy for a weak girl, he became impatient and attacked her. What did she take them for? Was it a dog? Fan Haixing supported Zi Yunxiang and said in a low voice, "Miss Zi, don't." But Zi Yunxiang shook off Fan Haixing, her expression changing as she charged toward the secret chamber. Because Zhou Ruoding had already entered the secret chamber, her palm aimed towards Su Yu's shoulder. Looking at her stance, she wanted to forcefully interrupt his breakthrough. If that happened, Su Yu would definitely go berserk. No. Even though they were a distance away, Zi Yunxiang was anxious and surprised, charging over without a care for anything else. Zhou Ruoding did not turn her head, her brows slightly creasing. "You dare obstruct me. If you take another step, kill." Murderous and imposing words came from Zhou Ruoding's mouth. They were indescribably cold and serious. Fan Haixing's expression changed slightly. "Miss Zi, don't." Anyone could tell that Zhou Ruoding was serious. Palace Master and Fong did not care about their lives, much less Zhou Ruoding. Killing them was like slaughtering dogs, without mercy. But in Zi Yunxiang's heart, there was only Su Yu's safety. They had only known each other for half a year, but Su Yu had given her a favor that she could never repay. How could she watch as Su Yu died in the hands of someone else? Reckless. Zhou Ruoding raised her hand, shooting a bolt of spirit energy into the air. Creak. How overbearing was the vital energy of an immortal realm level 3. A destructive energy instantly flashed in front of Zi Yunxiang, about to shatter her frail body on the spot. Whew! Zi Yunxiang felt as if she was struck by lightning, flying 50 meters away. She crashed heavily into a large tree in the manor, spitting out a mouthful of blood on the spot. The light injury from Palace Master and Fong's attack instantly turned into a serious injury. Thump! Zi Yunxiang fell to the ground, her body covered in blood, many parts of her body injured. Her hair was messy, her clothes torn. A trickle of blood flowed from her forehead, flowing down her beautiful face. Her figure was in a sorry state, no longer clean. Cough. Leaning against the large tree, Zi Yunxiang climbed up with difficulty, dragging her heavy footsteps as she continued to walk towards Su Yu. "He cannot die." With blood at the corner of her mouth, she muttered, stubbornly walking forward. Palace Master and Fong looked on coldly, shaking her head with a sneer. "Serves you right." As for Zhou Ruoting, she had a doubtful expression. That's weird. He did not die. She knew how powerful that attack was. A Dragon Realm cultivator, like Zi Yunxiang, would definitely die. To think that she was only seriously injured. Could it be that she had a treasure or a special technique? Fine, I want to see how many attacks you could take before you die. Zhou Ruoting's beautiful face had a cold expression. Whoosh! But just as Zhou Ruoting was about to attack, his expression changed slightly, and he lowered his head abruptly to take a look. A large amount of spiritual energy around Su Yu surged into his body like waves. The pain on his face had long disappeared, replaced by an indescribable sense of comfort. A powerful life force different from the Dragon Realm was released from within his body. A breakthrough? Zhou Ruoting was slightly stunned. He had been on the verge of going berserk, but at the last moment he had overcome the danger, knocked open the bottleneck, and broken through to the immortal realm. Following the maniacal injection of spirit energy, a terrifying aura was released from Su Yu's body. Shreds of spirit energy penetrated his body through his pores. This was the release of spirit energy. This was the sign of an immortal realm fighter. At the most critical moment, he had finally broken through the last bottleneck, successfully breaking through. He opened his eyes, one purple and one red. Two beams of spirit energy shot out from his eyes. At that moment, the air shook, the gravel under his feet trembling. A layer of dust spread in all directions with Su Yu at the center. Zhou Ruoting instinctively took a few steps back, shocked. What is going on? He has only broken through to the immortal realm. Why is he so imposing? Wait, he is not just an immortal realm level 1. He has broken through to immortal realm level 1 peak. With Zhou Ruoting's cultivation level, she could tell immediately after sensing it. Could he have swallowed the spirit fate elixir? Zi Yunxiang, whose legs were trembling as she slowly walked over, had a gratified expression. Her blood-red lips slightly pursed, revealing a relieved smile. Then, her legs turned to jelly, unable to hold on any longer, and she fainted on the spot. Whoosh! A piercing sound could be heard. Just as Zi Yunxiang was about to faint, Su Yu's handsome face entered her eyes. A gentle and apologetic sigh reverberated in her ears. Was it worth it? Closing her eyes, Zi Yunxiang fainted. But she had a satisfied smile, as if replying to Su Yu, "If you are well, everything is worth it." Gently placing Zi Yunxiang in the pavilion, Su Yu entered the pavilion quietly. A gentle breeze blew past, causing a few strands of silver hair to flutter. His white moon ice spiritual robe danced in the wind. The picturesque back contained an indescribable charm. But everyone at the scene, the people of the Inu Manor, Palace Master and Fong, and Zhou Ruoting could clearly feel the killing intent within the silence of that back. A moment later, Su Yu slowly turned around. His calm gaze pierced through the air, landing on the people of the Inu Manor kneeling on the ground. "Who asked you to kneel?" Su Yu calmly said. The people of the Inu Manor had bitter expressions, looking at each other. "Apart from Palace Master Ling, you can only bow to me. This will not happen again. Get up." Su Yu clasped his hands behind his back, calmly saying. The people of the Inu Manor heaved a sigh of relief, their faces filled with shame. Not only were they forced to kneel, when Su Yu was in danger, they were unable to stand up for him like Zi Yunxiang. Su Yu was already magnanimous by not punishing them. In front of Vice Palace Master and Fong and Zhou Ruoting, in front of the strict hierarchy, they were too insignificant and could not do anything. Su Yu naturally would not vent his anger on them. Wait! At this moment, Palace Master and Fong creased her brows. Continue kneeling. You can only stand when this Palace Master is sitting. You can only kneel if I stand. Do not get up without my orders. The people of the Inu Manor froze on the spot. Su Yu's expression was as calm as before. Get up. The people looked at each other, clenched their teeth, and slowly stood up. They believed in Palace Master Inu. The offering ceremony, the Black Water Pirates, and the Palace Master had given them too many surprises. Palace Master and Fong creased her brows, her long eyes filled with fury, dog of a slave. This Palace Master, Do you think you are worthy to stand with this palace master? Kneel. Thump. So you took a step forward. Even though it was a light step, it caused Palace Master and Fong's heart to contract. If you like to kneel, you can kneel to your heart's content. My people can only kneel to me. So you calmly said. Palace Master and Fong coldly scolded. Don't forget, I am the 4th Deputy Palace Master. Thump. So you took another step toward her. I know, but this is the Inu manner. His tit-for-tat words made Palace Master and Fong extremely unhappy, especially when she was contradicted by the 10th Palace Master, who was far inferior to her. In front of Zhou Ruoding, she felt even more embarrassed. To prevent herself from being laughed at by Zhou Ruoding, Palace Master and Fong did not dwell on this point, instead urging, "Cut the crap, follow me." Thump. So you took another step forward, calmly saying, Why are you looking for me? Speak." His commanding attitude made Palace Master and Fong unhappy, coldly saying, "I have received orders from Palace Master Ling to bring you back for trial. You have the guts to kill Zhang Jian." Thump. So you continued forward, tapping his chin. Is there anything else? Palace Master and Fong creased her brows. "Follow me, of course. If not for Palace Master Ling personally instructing me, I would not have meddled in your business." But her words were interrupted by Suyu. "Does that mean you have nothing else?" Suyu stood still, less than 100 feet away from Palace Master and Fong. Palace Master and Fong raised her brows. "Oh, does that mean you have something else?" Suyu glanced at the unconscious Zi Yunxiang, his lips forming a mocking smile. "You want to take revenge for her?" Zi Yunxiang had suffered 2 blows. The first one was not from an outsider, but from Palace Master and Fong. Since you know, there is no need to say more. Suyu's calm eyes gradually released a cold glow. "Ha ha ha! What a joke! To think that you could kill Zhang Jian, and I thought that you would at least have some tricks up your sleeve. Otherwise, you would not have defeated someone stronger than you. Looks like I have overestimated you. How arrogant must you be to think that a junior who had just broken through to the Immortal Realm would dare to challenge an Immortal Realm Level 2 peak?" Palace Master and Fong could not help but laugh loudly. Strangely, the people of the Inu Manor all looked at her with pitiful gazes. This was the manor that had once buried an Immortal Realm Level 3 red-clothed guard. Chapter 304. A bunch of lunatics. After muttering, Palace Master and Fong shot a cold glance at Suyu and shook her head. "I would like to take this opportunity to teach you a lesson. If you do not know what's good for you." However, just as she finished speaking, Suyu's indifferent voice could be heard. Thunderstar Finger. Creak. A purple thunder ball the size of an eyeball could be seen on Suyu's index finger, emitting wild thunder arcs. Looking at it, the thunder ball was formed by densely packed thunderbolts. Every bolt contained a frightening thunderbolt energy. The whole ball contained hundreds of thunderbolts. When combined, the destructive power of the thunderbolts was shocking. The aura it emitted was not inferior to the beginner-level Buddhist saints' 8 characters. The dazzling thunderlight made Suyu's face look extremely strange. His silver hair was also dyed a strange purple by the purple light. His eyes, which were as deep as the starry sky, were like black holes at that very moment. Palace Master and Fong's expression froze, and she exclaimed, "Stage 1 top class of an immortal level technique. How did you do that?" In terms of age, Palace Master and Fong was 20 years old, and Suyu was 16 years old. However, Palace Master and Fong had been studying the remnant of an immortal level technique since she was young. Even after 10 years, she had only managed to comprehend Stage 1 upper class. She was still a step away from Stage 1 top class. However, Suyu attacked like lightning, and Palace Master and Fong could only receive his attack hurriedly. Heavy Flower Shadow. Palace Master and Fong gathered her spirit energy on her palm. Vaguely, flowers filled the sky. The palms of flowers, which were like overlapping shadows, collided with each other brazenly. Rumble. One was gentle while the other was forceful. The collision, which should have canceled each other out, let out a shocking rumble. The flower shadows scattered and were annihilated by the purple thunder arcs that filled the sky. Palace Master and Fong's yellow-clothed figure was like a flower petal, flying backward with fresh blood. That face was filled with pain, shock, and fear. She was not a match for Suyu. Her confidence was shattered at that very moment. Do you understand that you are actually unable to withstand a single blow? At that moment, a cold voice sounded beside her ears. Palace Master and Fong saw from the corner of her eyes that Suyu had taken the opportunity to chase after her. She panicked. What are you doing? We are both Vice Palace Masters. Are you going to attack me too heavily? Suyu laughed coldly. Vice Palace Masters? So you also know that we are both Vice Palace Masters. An outsider didn't care that I was at a critical juncture in my breakthrough, didn't care that I went berserk, didn't care that my life was in danger, and forcibly captured me. What were you, a Vice Palace Master like yourself, doing? When Zi Yunxiang begged you twice, as a Vice Palace Master, what did you do? She was injured by someone, but the first strike was not at the hands of an outsider, but at the hands of you, one of her own. You? Do you think of yourself as the Vice Palace Master of the Northern Continent's imperial dynasty? When an outsider bullied a weak Vice Palace Master, you didn't draw your blade to help, you didn't protect your junior, and you didn't fulfill your duty as a senior. Instead, you showed off your power and forced them to kneel. Instead, he looked on coldly from the sidelines. It had nothing to do with him. Instead of teaching an outsider a lesson, they are ruthless to their own people. What kind of Vice Palace Master are you? Pa! Suyu's palm ruthlessly slapped Deputy Palace Master and Fong's face. Immediately, blood splattered everywhere, leaving behind a bloody mark on Vice Palace Master and Fong's face. Rumble, puff! Palace Master and Fong was sent flying, crashing into the wall. She covered her burning face, extremely embarrassed. You humiliated me. Pa! However, what answered her was Suyu, who had caught up with her, slapping the other half of her face. After leaving behind a bloody mark, he slapped Palace Master and Fong until blood splattered everywhere. The first strike is the price you have to pay for helping an outsider. The second strike is the price you have to pay for harming Zi Yunxiang. Palace Master and Fong was extremely embarrassed. She was actually slapped twice in front of everyone. From now on, she would no longer have any authority in the Northern Continent's imperial palace. I will remember you. Palace Master and Fong's eyes shot out a venomous light, glaring at Suyu. Puff! However, a leg stepped on her chest ruthlessly, causing her chest to cave in slightly. Her bones cracked with a cracking sound. Palace Master and Fong spat out blood, mixed with pieces of flesh from her mouth. Her eyes, which had turned red from the intense pain, were filled with shock and disbelief. Suyu actually dared to injure her severely. Feeling the continuous pressure on her chest, she realized that Suyu was going to take her life. You? What do you want to do to me? The venomous light in Palace Master and Fong's eyes was replaced by fear. Thinking about how Suyu dared to kill Deputy Palace Master Zhang Jian, Palace Master and Fong's body trembled, her fear growing. Suyu retracted his leg apathetically, coldly saying, I'm just teaching you when to be arrogant and when to keep a low profile. Although the people of Inu Manor were expressionless, it was not difficult to see the excitement in their eyes. From their point of view, it was too satisfying. Palace Master and Fong was beaten into a dead dog by Suyu, but she did not restrain herself. She even dared to look at Suyu with venomous eyes. This kind of woman, who thought highly of herself, should be beaten to death. As expected, Palace Master and Fong clutched her chest. Her previously ferocious expression was replaced by fear in the blink of an eye, tears rolling down her cheeks. Suyu let out a light hum, no longer looking at her. His gaze drifted to another person. Zhou Ruoding leaned against the wall of the courtyard, elegantly standing there. She wore a mocking smile, coldly clapping. Haha, interesting. You have really broadened my horizons. Suyu looked at her calmly. Yes, what do you want? Just say it. You only have 5 minutes. His overbearing attitude caused Zhou Ruoding to laugh coldly. Do you really think that I am comparable to a small fry like Palace Master and Fong? If you want to teach me a lesson, I'm afraid that you will be disappointed. I am Lord Bai Luo's subordinate, a first-class maid. Under Lord Bai Luo's orders, I'm bringing you back to accept your punishment. Furthermore, you had better tell me the whereabouts of Leader Tai Mu truthfully when he came, and whether he left any clues behind after he left. Tell me everything. Lord Bai Luo was indeed him. If he did not remember wrongly, Leader Tai Mu's master, Inspector Bai He, had rushed to the North Continent from thousands of miles away to order Ling Xiaotian to hand over the 10 deputy palace masters that he had nurtured to Lord Bai Luo. As for Li Tianxiang, he seemed to have a close relationship with Lord Bai Luo. At this moment, he was taking the opportunity to make things difficult for Su Yu. Haha, you're very surprised, right? My identity is far beyond your imagination. If you're tactful, cooperate immediately, Zhou Ruoding said proudly. Unexpectedly, Su Yu regained his senses, looked at her, and said indifferently, You keep saying and I thought that you were a great person. So, you're only a maid who knows how to act according to others' wishes. Zhou Ruoding's expression turned slightly stiff, her face slightly cold. Her lips curled into a cold smile. You are stubborn. There's no need for me to talk to people like you. Surrender immediately. Otherwise, Russell Zhou Ruoding's figure flashed. Her fair hand turned into a claw, tearing through the air and grabbing toward Su Yu. How was this capturing alive? She was clearly killing him on the spot. A strong wind blew Su Yu's silver hair, his cold and deep eyes appearing abruptly. Looks like you have nothing else to do. Since that is the case, pay your debt with your blood. Su Yu had almost suffered from cultivation deviation and died a few times. Zi Yunxiang was severely injured, fainting on the spot. Chapter 305. I'm a servant of Lord Bai Luo. You, a mere deputy palace master, dare to touch me? Zhou Ruoding let out a light laugh, looking down on the deputy palace master. You are just a servant. Don't think of yourself as a joke. Su Yu calmly replied. In the headquarters of the Empire of Darkness, her status was low, and she had to bow and scrape. Now that she had come to the sub-palace, her confidence had swelled, and she looked down on people outside of the headquarters. To put it bluntly, she was like a dog that relied on its master's power, forgetting her own status. That was why she dared to interrupt the breakthrough of a deputy palace master, and dared to injure the deputy palace master's people. Even if I am just a servant, a mere deputy palace master like you cannot compare to me. Zhou Ruoding lifted her chin, letting out a cold grunt. Whoosh! Zhou Ruoding's movement technique was extremely fast, and she grabbed Su Yu's shoulder fiercely. It's over, deputy palace master. Is that so? Su Yu said coldly. Thunderstar finger. The purple ball of lightning revolved on Su Yu's fingertip, and with the power of lightning, he pointed it forward. A dreamy purple light illuminated the sky. But Zhou Ruoding's expression was calm. She grabbed at Su Yu's claw, her 5 fingers gathering spirit energy. Green mountain, clear water seal. 5 spirit energies intertwined, forming a seal the size of a palm. Creak! The ball of lightning formed by the Thunderstar finger was destroyed on the spot. This was the first time they had exchanged blows, and Su Yu's extremely powerful attack was unable to do anything to his opponent. Palace Master Infong was shocked. What terrifying abilities! The attack of a Stage 1 top-class, immortal-level technique was easily neutralized. A shred of hatred shot out from deep within her eyes. Inu, you are finished. Easily neutralizing Su Yu's strongest attack, Zhou Ruoding let out a mocking smile. Deputy Palace Master, with your noble status, you only have this little ability? You really scare me. Laughing coldly, Zhou Ruoding shook her head, her palm striking towards Su Yu's shoulder. Today, I will teach you that when you are weaker, you must learn to lower your head like a dog. Su Yu looked up, letting out a cold laugh. Only when you are used to being a dog would you wish for others to be a dog. You are indeed a servant, so lowly from the bottom of your heart. These words seemed to provoke Zhou Ruoding. Her face turned stern. I will tear your dog mouth apart. As Su Yu took a light breath, the spiritual energy of the world suddenly became violent, and a destructive power was quickly brewing in his mouth. Then, I will teach you what it means to be superior to others. Su Yu's eyes turned cold, and he opened his mouth to spit out a destructive sound wave. Buddhist Saints 8 characters. Confrontation. Zhou Ruoding was less than 5 feet away and was caught off guard. Her gloomy face suddenly stiffened and her pupils gradually shrank. Her eyes widened and she said, "What kind of skill is this? How is this possible?" Ah! Her red lips let out a loud and miserable cry of pain, and an arrow of blood spurted out from her mouth. Her graceful and delicate body was like a broken flower, drifting dozens of meters away and smashing into a pile of ruins. Her green dress was destroyed by the destructive sound waves, revealing her snow-white and mature body in the air. Zhou Ruoding cried out in surprise and covered the 2 round lumps in front of her chest. Her beautiful face was filled with shock and anger. "You dared to humiliate me. Lord Bai Luo will not forgive you." Thunderstar finger. But Su Yu did not have any protective feelings for the fair sex. He continued to attack the heavily injured Zhou Ruoding. Rumble. Ah! With a pathetic cry, the naked Zhou Ruoding was sent flying. The naked Zhou Ruoding was sent flying. Her entire body was naked as she rolled in front of the Inu manor. Pu Zhou Ruoding lay on the ground, spitting out a mouthful of fresh blood mixed with flesh. Her face was filled with shock and anger. Thump! Su Yu walked over, looking down from above. "Did your lord Bai Luo not teach you to lower your head like a dog when your abilities are inferior to others? This is the outcome of trying to bark like a dog." The same words were thrown back at Zhou Ruoding, causing her to be extremely embarrassed. "Inu, I swear that I will never." Thump! A foot suddenly stepped on her abdomen. The shocking force almost crushed Zhou Ruoding's internal organs. Large pieces of flesh and blood spurted out from her mouth. Her snow-white abdomen was a mess of flesh and blood. The onlookers were shocked awake from their erotic fantasies. Their bodies trembled, and their gazes towards Su Yu were filled with fear. What a merciless palace master! To think that a beautiful woman like Zhou Ruoding could bear to be so defiled and resplendent. "You still can't learn how to lower your head like a dog." So you shook his head coldly. "Do you think a lowly servant like you has the right to use the word master in front of me? In the headquarters of the Empire of Darkness, you are servant. In front of me, you are still a servant. I will teach you on behalf of your lord Bai Luo. What is the difference in status?" Su Yu had no sympathy for a woman like her, who did not know the immensity of heaven and earth. If not for Zi Yunxiang stopping her for a moment, Su Yu would have forcefully interrupted his breakthrough and gone berserk. If not for him breaking through in time, Zi Yunxiang would have been killed on the spot. There was no pity in killing this kind of woman. Zhou Ruoding's eyes were burning with the flames of extreme anger. A mere deputy palace master of a sub-palace dared to treat her this way. If she did not take revenge, she would not be human. Thump! Almost at the same time as she shot a hateful gaze, her abdomen suffered another kick. This stomp had broken several of his ribs. The bone spikes pierced through her flesh, dripping with fresh blood. Ah! Zhou Ruoding let out a pathetic cry, like a pig being slaughtered. The people of Inu Manor felt a chill run down their spines. Was he trying to torture her to death? At this moment, everyone felt a chill in their hearts as they looked at Su Yu. Even Palace Master and Fong was trembling, her eyes filled with fear. At this moment, she finally understood how lenient Su Yu was toward her. Compared to the pitiful Zhou Ruoding, Su Yu was too kind. Finally, Zhou Ruoding let go of her stance for the first time, despite the intense pain. She looked Su Yu in the eyes for the first time. From those eyes, she finally saw a deep, killing intent. Su Yu wanted to kill her. Fear spread through her heart. Zhou Ruoding felt helpless. Her identity as Lord Bai Luo's first-grade servant had crumbled in an instant. She finally understood how insignificant her identity was in Su Yu's eyes. The arrival of death and the fear of helplessness caused the proud her to tear up. Her mouth was filled with blood as she sobbed. I'm sorry, don't kill me." Su Yu's eyes were filled with killing intent, showing no signs of weakening. This woman deserved to die, but at this moment, the unconscious Zi Yunxiang was woken up by the commotion. She lay in the pavilion, tilting her head, weakly shouting, "No, no." Killing leader Tai Mu was already difficult to clear his name. Killing Zhou Ruoding would make it difficult to clear his name. Su Yu was determined to kill Zhou Ruoding, partly for himself, but more so to help her vent her anger. She already owed Su Yu countless favors. She could not owe him any more. Su Yu's expression relaxed. He looked at Zhou Ruoding coldly, his killing intent fading. You should be grateful that she was not killed by you. Otherwise, you would already be a dead person. Zhou Ruoding secretly heaved a sigh of relief, her fear fading quickly. She had sensed that Su Yu might not dare to kill her. No matter what, she was still lured by Luo's first-grade servant. Even Zi Yunxiang knew that she could not be killed, let alone Palace Master Yin. The killing intent just now was most likely an act. Russell with Su Yu's support, Zi Yunxiang walked in front of Zhou Ruoding. She took off her outer garment, covering Zhou Ruoding. Her naked body was covered. Zhou Ruoding was expressionless, her eyes filled with disgust and disdain. But she did not dare act up. She did not appreciate Zi Yunxiang's good intentions. "Miss Zhou, please do not find trouble with me. I can only save you this once." "Save me this once?" Zhou Ruoding snorted. Even without Zi Yunxiang's permission, Su Yu might not dare to kill her. As if sensing Zhou Ruoding's disdain, Zi Yunxiang sighed, silently standing up. "Wait," Zhou Ruoding calmly said. "Where is leader Tai Mu? Did he come?" He looked at Su Yu with a bit of respect, and his tone became slightly gentler. I no longer care about your matters. However, when leader Tai Mu is leaving, please let me know." She had to capture Su Yu and find leader Tai Mu. She had two tasks at the same time. Leader Tai Mu, the Yin Manor crowd had a strange expression. Only Su Yu calmly said, "Him? He left 5 days ago." "Where'd he go?" Zhou Ruoding creased her brows. "If he left 5 days ago, why did he not report back?" Su Yu lowered his head, calmly saying, "Of course, he went to the underworld." "The underworld?" Zhou Ruoding's body shook, her pupils dilating. "He's dead? Who killed?" Zhou Ruoding's words stopped, abruptly lifting her head, looking at Su Yu in fear. Her voice trembled. You killed him?" Su Yu's expression was cold. "Why, you want to go down as well?" Rumble. It was as if thousands of lightning bolts were exploding in Zhou Ruoding's mind. Who was this Palace Master Yin? To have the guts to kill leader Tai Mu? He was the leader of Inspector by his guards. In terms of status, he was a whole level higher than a maid like her. Hearing the killing intent in Su Yu's words, Zhou Ruoding lowered her head in panic, shaking her head in fear. No, I did not. I was just shocked." Su Yu let out a cold laugh. "What are you shocked about? Shocked that I dared to kill your so-called envoy from the headquarters? Even if Lord Bai Luo came personally, if he dared to harm my people, I would kill him without hesitation." Zhou Ruoding's body trembled, completely in fear. At this moment, she finally understood that Zi Yunxiang had really saved her life. He dared to kill even leader Tai Mu, much less her. If not for Zi Yunxiang's timely warning, she would already be a cold corpse. Yes. Zhou Ruoding was trembling in fear. Su Yu swept his gaze past them. "The two of you will wait in my manor for a day, then follow me to the Lingxiao Palace." Being swept by Su Yu, Palace Master and Fong shuddered. "All right, we will listen to you." Zhou Ruoding was even more submissive. "We will listen to Palace Master Yin Yu's orders." The two of them had originally wanted to capture Su Yu and bring him to the Lingxiao Palace. In the end, they had to listen to Su Yu's orders. Returning to the house, he sent spirit energy into Zi Yunxiang's body to heal her injuries. Zi Yunxiang's face was filled with worry. "Yin, have you really decided to head to the Lingxiao Palace? If you escape now, you might still be able to make it in time." The investigation team from the Empire headquarters was waiting at the Lingxiao Palace. Rushing there now was no different from sending a sheep into a tiger's mouth. Su Yu slowly retracted his palm, sighing. I am innocent. If I escape now, my crime will be confirmed, and I will have no chance to defend myself. Furthermore, with the power of the Empire of Darkness, you might be able to escape now, but not forever. Suyu calmly said, rather than that, why not head to the Lingxiao Palace to face the court? There might be a chance then. Furthermore, I believe that Palace Master Ling will give me a fair punishment. In the past, Ling Xiaotian had invited him to join the Empire of Darkness, promising that he would be treated fairly. As a person, he would not lie. Zi Yunxiang lowered her head, clenching her fists. I will follow you. She was worried that Suyu would meet with misfortune. After thinking for some time, Suyu did not object. All right. The mysterious leader of the Black Water Pirates had always wanted to hold Zi Yunxiang hostage, forcing him to hand over the key. Leaving Zi Yunxiang alone in the Yingyu area was ultimately a hidden danger. It was better to bring her along. Zi Yunxiang revealed a smile. Thank you. If she had the chance, she would repay Suyu's kindness. After resting for a day, Zi Yunxiang's injuries were mostly healed. Palace Master and Fong had basically recovered, but Zhou Ruoding could only lie down, her injuries not yet healed. Chapter 306. Palace Master Yingyu, why did you bring me along? To take credit from the great Palace Master? I'm still of some use to you. Tu Long was also brought along by Suyu, and he laughed at himself. Suyu looked at his empty right arm and said calmly, I have my reasons for bringing you along. Just follow me. Tu Long was shocked, after which he let out a desolate smile. This trip to the Dark Forest does not bode well for me. If it is possible, I would like Palace Master Yingyu to make a trip to the Forest of Darkness on my behalf to meet someone. Dark Forest? Suyu did not respond. Originally, even without me, Second Brother would have gone. Unfortunately, since you surrounded the Black Water Pirates that day, I believe that he has already died in your hands, right? Tu Long said calmly. There was no hatred in his eyes. He knew how many tragedies the Black Water Pirates had caused to the Yingyu area. It was only natural for Suyu to exterminate the Black Water Pirates. If I die, I hope that Palace Master Yingyu will bring my ashes to the Tu family of the On-US city in the Forest of Darkness. Tell them that their unfilial descendants, Tu Long, have let them down. Tu Long's face was filled with disappointment. I will write a letter of divorce. They will give you a chance to enter the 10,000 soldier pool. Suyu's brows creased slightly. 10,000 soldier pool, what is that? Unexpectedly, Home Master and Fong, who was at the side, was shocked. She couldn't help but cry out involuntarily. On U.S. City's 10,000 soldier pool? How are you related to the Tu family? Palace Master and Fong had actually blurted out Tu Long's surname. Even Zhou Ruoding, who was in the Empire's headquarters, had a huge change in expression after hearing this. She said in shock, You don't tell me you're from the Tu family of On U.S. City? Impossible. If you're from the Tu family, why are you here? Oh, was the Tu family from the Dark Forest very famous? Tu Long laughed at himself. I'm just an unfilial descendant of the Tu family. I have no face to call myself a member of the Tu family. So you look toward Zhou Ruoding. Which force is the Tu family? If he remembered correctly, the Dark Forest was located at the border between the Northern Continent and the Eastern Continent. It was vast and boundless. On U.S. City was located in the Northern Continent. It was jointly controlled by the three great forces of the North Continent, the Snow Listening Tower, the Phoenix Cabinet, and the 100 Territories Alliance. What was going on with the Tu family? Zhou Ruoding did not dare to hesitate. The 8 surnames of heaven and earth, Legend of Qin, Bright Moon, Ghost Slaughter's 10,000 miles. These 8 surnames are the 8 most ancient surnames since the beginning of the world. Their time is as long as the Empire of Darknesses, long and endless. The Tu clan is one of the 8 great clans. They have been hiding in On U.S. City for a long time. I've heard Lord Bai Luo say that if you get the Tu clan, you will be able to rule the world. The reason was the Tu family's 10,000 soldier pool. The 10,000 soldier pool is rumored to be a divine artifact graveyard. Countless damaged divine artifacts are deposited in the pool. Originally, there was nothing special about this place. However, for countless years, every generation of the Tu family had used their special bloodline to irrigate the 10,000-soldier pool, causing it to mutate. The damaged divine weapons inside had fused with the bloodline of the Tu family members, and a mysterious spiritual liquid had been produced, which could activate divine weapons. Initializing a divine artifact, Suyu's heart suddenly shrank. This meant that once he obtained another's divine artifact, he would be able to forcefully erase its owner's mark and force it to recognize him as its master. The divine ice ring had followed Suyu for such a long time, but he was still unable to recognize its master. The reason for this was that its master was the monarch of the divine ice ancient kingdom. Since the ring already had a master, Suyu could only rely on his cultivation technique to forcefully unleash its power. However, he was only able to unleash less than 30% of its power. If he had entered the 10,000-soldier pool earlier, the divine ice ring would have recognized him as its master. However, it was now completely destroyed. First, Leader Tai Mu was mostly destroyed. Finally, it was completely destroyed by the Blackwater Pirate's first head. However, if he could obtain a divine artifact from such a mysterious spiritual pool, he would be able to easily recognize him as its master. It was hard to believe that such a nature-defying thing could exist in this world. No wonder Lord Bai Luo said that obtaining the Tu family would allow one to rule the world. An ancient family of the same era as the Empire of Darkness was indeed frightening. If he had the chance, he should go and take a look. Yes, I agree. Suyu nodded his head lightly. Tu Long's eyebrows relaxed, and he let out a light laugh. Thank you. Time passed quickly, and 2 days passed in the blink of an eye. The flying eagle descended upon the most central area of the sub-palace, Lingxiao Palace. A majestic palace stood on top of a towering cliff. Countless silver-clothed and black-clothed guards shuttled back and forth. It was an imposing sight. This place was the hub of the North Continent's sub-palace of the Empire of Darkness. Ling Xiaotian oversaw this place, commanding all the members of the Empire of Darkness in the North Continent. Tens of thousands of silver-clothed guards and black-clothed guards were scattered throughout the North Continent, carrying out various orders. They were searching for geniuses, gathering information on the North Continent, searching for universe treasures, elixirs, techniques, etc. The never-ending stream of silver-clothed guards and black-clothed guards in front of him was just the tip of the iceberg. The true sub-palace had yet to reveal its true appearance. Report your name. A few cold shouts came from above the clouds. It was a team of black-clothed guards blocking their path. Suyu took out Palace Master Inyu's seal, stating his identity. So, it is Deputy Palace Master Inyu. The Palace Master has orders for you to come to the Breeze Cabinet. The black-clothed guard's expression relaxed. The legendary 10th Deputy Palace Master, Suyu. Palace Master Inyu, please follow us. The Breeze Cabinet was one of the 4 great pavilions of the Lingxiao Palace. The environment was quiet and comfortable, and it was only open to important guests. Under normal circumstances, even Deputy Palace Masters were not allowed to enter. Palace Master Infong was secretly surprised. Palace Master Ling valued Deputy Palace Master Inyu more than expected, actually opening the Breeze Cabinet to show his support for Suyu. The group sat down for a moment. Whoosh, whoosh, the sound of something breaking through the air could be heard. It was the handsome Ling Xiaotian, as well as the white-haired, youthful Inspector Bai He. As his gaze swept past Inspector Bai He, Suyu's pupils dilated, a cold glint flashing in his eyes. That day in the Alliance City, it was this person who was rude and unreasonable, insisting on killing Suyu. To think that he would meet him again this time around. But Lord Bai Luo did not show himself. I am Inspector Bai He, under the orders of Lord Bai Luo to investigate the death of Deputy Palace Master Zhang Jian. Inspector Bai He had a stern expression, his sharp gaze piercing through Suyu's body. Ling Xiaotian had a relaxed expression, waving his sleeves. Inyu, sit down. At the same time, he observed Suyu with a smile. It was a casual glance, but his expression froze, his smile becoming more pronounced. Immortal Realm Level 1 peak. To have such a huge breakthrough in just a month, unbelievable. Before Suyu joined, he was only Dragon Realm Level 5 peak. But now, he was Immortal Realm Level 1 peak. The improvement was unimaginable. Even 1,000 Spirit Elixir would not have such an effect. I am indebted to Palace Master's guidance. Suyu smiled as he cupped his fists in response. Ling Xiaotian laughed, gratified. I did not judge wrongly. I have picked up a treasure. To think that Han Jianglin had used all sorts of methods to kill Suyu. Such a talent had been defiled, a pearl covered in dust. Luckily, he had a discerning eye, accepting Suyu as the 10th Deputy Palace Master. I think that last Jilan is about to meet a strong opponent. Hua Jilan. Suyu did not understand. It seemed like Hua Jilan was only Dragon Realm Level 7 peak. Why did Ling Xiaotian's tone sound like Suyu was on par with her? Palace Master Ling, start dealing with this traitor who killed his fellow faction member. A discordant grunt destroyed the harmonious atmosphere. Inspector Baihe stared at Suyu, his gaze cold. Chapter 307. Palace Master Ling, I am following orders to oversee this matter. You do not need to worry. Inspector Baihe said coldly. Ling Xiaotian's expression was calm. In my sub-palace, my vice-palace masters killed each other. Do you think I will not interfere? Inspector Baihe let out a fake smile. You can't even control your own vice-palace masters. Why would you have the face to interfere? In other words, Ling Xiaotian was useless, allowing his subordinates to kill each other, resulting in losses. Ling Xiaotian only smiled without saying a word, wiping his face. Suyu looked on from the side, feeling apologetic. Ling Xiaotian was busy every day, overseeing the affairs of the North Continent's sub-palace. However, he was delayed because of Suyu and was mocked because of Suyu. Inspector Baihe, if you have the time to talk about others, you should first take care of your subordinates. Suyu mocked. Whoosh. Two sharp gazes looked as if they wanted to pierce through Suyu. Lowering his eyelids, Inspector Baihe sat high up in the hall, looking down at Suyu, speaking slowly. Did I allow a lowly deputy palace master like you to speak? In his eyes, Suyu's status was not worth mentioning. Since you want to speak, let me ask you, do you admit to your crimes? Inspector Baihe looked down on Suyu, questioning him. Suyu laughed silently. Inspector Baihe was following orders to investigate, but before there was any conclusion, he was questioning Suyu if he admitted to his crimes. Shaking his head, Suyu said, Inspector, where did my crimes come from? Inspector Baihe let out a cold laugh. You still want to quibble at this point? Shui Yao and Vice Palace Master Feng Qing have already confessed that you killed him. Now that you are trying to deny it, I cannot compliment your character. Had the two of them confessed? Suyu sighed. In front of the Empire, they were unable to maintain their bottom line and were forced to confess. Oh, why was Zhang Jian killed? How did the two of them confess? Suyu was calm, not panicking. Inspector Baihe's expression turned rigid, quickly concealing his emotions, laughing coldly. Why he was killed has nothing to do with this case, as long as you admit that you killed him. Looks like you have admitted to your crimes. Since that is the case, kneel and submit. With just a few words, he had sentenced Suyu to death. He didn't ask about anything that was printed on it. Inspector Baihe, I am not dead yet. Ling Xiaotian did not bat an eyelid as he laughed lightly. However, everyone could hear the anger in his voice. Inspector Baihe was unmoved. The evidence is conclusive. What is there to argue about? According to the dynasty's laws, he should be beheaded. Ling Xiaotian held a teacup in his hand and casually said, Inspector Baihe, if you insist on acting willfully and treating human lives as grass, I don't mind returning to the headquarters and asking the King of Darkness to be the judge. The words King of Darkness was like a sudden clap of thunder, causing the cold and arrogant Inspector Baihe's expression to change. As a Grand Temple Master, he had a chance to be summoned by the King of Darkness once a year. He would be instructed in his cultivation or receive some simple rewards as a reward for guarding the 4 sub-temples. Apart from the 7 Lords of Darkness, the 4 Palace Masters were the only members of Dynasty who could approach the King of Darkness. At that time, Ling Xiaotian would rather give up on guiding his cultivation and ask the sovereign king to be the judge. Once this case was exposed, no one in the world could save him. His stiff expression gradually relaxed, his cold expression also becoming gentler. Palace Master Ling, what are you saying? I am acting on orders and will naturally deal with it impartially, treating everyone equally. Just now, I was merely testing Palace Master Yin Yu's reaction, and I did it on purpose. Hearing him try to smooth things over, Ling Xiaotian calmly said, as long as Inspector Bai He is going to deal with it impartially, I will not interfere. Continue. His attitude was as if he was ordering a subordinate. However, Inspector Bai He had a guilty conscience and could only endure it. His eyes were filled with anger as he stared at Su Yu. Speak, did you kill Zhang Jian because you did not split the spoils evenly? Confess now, and you will be treated leniently. If you resist, you will be punished severely. The other party was anxious to pin a crime on Su Yu, to the point of using such a method to lure him into a confession. Su Yu let out a faint smile. That is to say, whether or not I am guilty has not been determined. Inspector Bai He was furious. We are now investigating the severity of your crime. Cooperate with us and fight for leniency. If Su Yu cooperated with him, he would be the one to die faster. That is to say, my crime has not been determined. Su Yu's smile was cold. If that is the case, I would like to ask Inspector Bai He, if my crime has not been determined, is it reasonable for Leader Tai Mu to use my crime as a reason to kill me in front of everyone? Inspector Bai He raised his eyebrows, silently blaming Tai Mu. Tai Mu was too careless and allowed Su Yu to take advantage of the situation. If he were to return, he would definitely be punished. Just as he was about to speak, Ling Xiaoyan's eyes turned cold. Oh? A red-clothed guard offended his superior and tried to kill a vice palace master without any evidence? How daring! He should be executed for his crime. Wait, Inspector Bai hurriedly said, Leader Tai Mu is an upright person, upright and plain-spoken. He would most likely threaten you verbally and would not dare to kill you. He then looked at Su Yu with a mocking smile. The fact that you are standing here unscathed proves everything. If he were to kill you, do you think that you would be able to face me in court unscathed? Ling Xiaotian was silent. Indeed, Tai Mu might not dare to kill Su Yu. Upright and plain-spoken, upright person, Su Yu could not help but let out a laugh. Would the upright person allow a bandit who brought disaster to his people to escape and remain indifferent? Would the upright and plain-spoken person use his position to avenge a personal grudge and kill me? Looking at Inspector Bai He with a cold smile, Su Yu let out a laugh. Why am I standing here unscathed? It is not that he does not dare to kill me, but that when he does not kill me on the spot. What? Not only was Inspector Bai He shocked, even Ling Xiaotian was shocked. Tai Mu had a cultivation of Immortal Realm Level 3, while Su Yu was merely Immortal Realm Level 1. How could he kill Tai Mu? But he quickly understood. The Yin Yu Manor was Su Yu's territory. With precautions, it was not impossible for him to kill Tai Mu using numbers. Slap! The handle in Inspector Bai He's hand was shattered. His old face turned ugly, as if he was about to devour someone. You killed him? Tai Mu had not returned for a few days, and Inspector Bai He had a bad premonition. Su Yu's words proved everything. Su Yu laughed, but did not speak. How dare you? You dare to kill a servant who is under orders? This inspector will not forgive you. Inspector Bai He was seething with anger. How daring was he to kill Tai Mu? How could he look down on him, the inspector? Su Yu said calmly, does that mean that Inspector Bai He thinks that a red-clothed guard killing an innocent vice palace master in front of everyone is within the law? His words stunned Inspector Bai He. Sensing Ling Xiaoyan's attention, he had an idea. In front of everyone, he cannot become a laughingstock. Forcing himself to calm down, he said in a low voice, according to the law, he should be executed, but how could you make the decision on your own? But Su Yu forcefully interrupted him. Since he should be executed, may I ask, how could a mere red-clothed guard be so daring? Did he receive an order from a superior? There is only one superior to Tai Mu, Inspector Bai He. Ling Xiaoyan's gaze was fierce. Inspector Bai He, the Vice Palace Masters are geniuses that the Empire of Darkness is grooming. You have guts to kill them. Inspector Bai He's expression turned serious. Even he did not dare bear such a heavy crime. His dark expression changed, returning to his stern expression. I am the inspector who supervises the world. Every word and action represents the Empire of Darkness. I remember the laws of the Empire of Darkness. How could I do such a disgraceful thing? I only ordered Tai Mu to bring you back for investigation. I did not order him to kill you. Based on my guess, since Tai Mu had a personal grudge against you, he must have been complying on the surface, using his position to take revenge. This matter has nothing to do with me. In no time at all, Inspector Bai He managed to put aside this matter. Suyu laughed calmly. If that is the case, should Tai Mu be killed? The muscles on Inspector Bai He's mouth twitched, his heart suppressing the boundless hatred, but his expression was righteous. Humph. You dare to defy me on the surface. Committing such a heinous crime, you deserve to die. Even if Palace Master Yu does not punish you, I will personally execute you. As he swept his gaze past Suyu, a cold, murderous intent flashed past his eyes. Let's forget about Tai Mu's matter. Now, let's continue with Zhang Jian's matter. Why did you kill him? Speak. Inspector Bai He was overbearing, interrogating Suyu, as though he wanted to convict Suyu. Suyu's expression was calm. This kind of person colluded with the enemy and killed his own people. He is ungrateful. Of course he should be killed. Ling Xiaotian nodded. And, tell me in detail. He naturally knew the characters of the 10 great Vice Palace Masters. Following which, Suyu told him everything that had happened. Of course, he did not mention the relic. Shui Yao and Feng Qing also did not mention the relic. After all, the relic was not related to the case. There was no need for them to seek trouble, knowing that Suyu had saved Zhang Jian twice, but was instead plotted against by Zhang Jian. Furthermore, he had purposely let the second head of the Black Water Pirates escape, plotting to kill Shui Yao and Feng Qing. Ling Xiaoyan's expression turned cold, sighing after a while, I am to blame for his death. Back then, I was in a rush to create the 10 great Vice Palace Masters. Hence, I focused on his talents, but neglected his character. I was unable to guide him in time. I am responsible for this. Seeing that the matter was about to be settled, Inspector Bai He let out a cold laugh. The two of you want to gloss over this matter. Let me ask you, who can testify for what happened that day? Just because you say that Zhang Jian is ungrateful, does that mean he is ungrateful? He is a dead man. He would not jump out to argue with you. Suyu said, didn't you interrogate Shui Yao and Feng Qing? I believe you have already heard the same thing from them. Hee, the three of you share the same suspicion. Naturally, it is a tradition. Unless there is a fourth person to testify, the words of the three of you are not valid. A fourth person, other than the three of them. How could there be a fourth person? If there is no fourth person, I have reason to believe that the three of you killed Zhang Jian to silence him. Inspector Bai He was overbearing, determined to get what he wanted. If he did not take the opportunity to kill Suyu, he would not be able to quell the hatred in his heart. Suyu's eyes turned cold. What nonsense! With the situation at that time, how could there be a fourth person present? To force Suyu into a corner, it was clear that he wanted to kill Suyu. Ling Xiaotian creased his brows. Even though he knew Inspector Bai He's intentions, his words were not without reason. Without a witness, the possibility of the three of them conspiring to kill Zhang Jian still existed. He, who said there is no fourth person, isn't he right in front of you? But at this moment, a mocking voice came from outside the loft. Inspector Bai He looked over, coldly saying, Who are you? Chapter 308. Didn't I say it before? The fourth person you are looking for. Tu Long's expression was calmly entering, not the least bit pressured by Inspector Bai He's aura. I'm the second head of the Black Water Pirates who wanted to assassinate them, Tu Long. So he was shocked. Tu Long was willing to testify. If Tu Long was unwilling, even if Suyu forced him, there was no need for Tu Long to agree. Thinking about how he had requested Suyu to replace him and head to the Tu family of US City to return the ashes, Suyu was silent. The words of a dying man were kind. Slaying the dragon was using the last of his life to repay the favor. All he wanted was for him to return his roots. As he passed by Suyu, Tu Long gave him a calm smile. "Palace Master Inu, please." "Inspector," Bai He had an unfriendly expression. "You are saying that you are the true culprit who killed the vice palace masters?" Tu Long nodded. "Yes. I am acting on orders. I can testify to everything Palace Master Inu has said. It is all true. As for my identity, anyone in the Inu area would recognize me. With his testimony, everything would be revealed to the world." Inspector Baihe's eyes were filled with warning, a hidden threat. "Is that so? Please think about it carefully. Did you say something wrong?" Unexpectedly, Tu Long sneered. "Inspector Baihe, take a step back and you'll see the world. Leaving others a way out is also leaving yourself a way out. Don't push others too hard." Palace Master Inu is a chivalrous person who values relationships. He does not deserve to die. His face turned red from a mocking. Inspector Baihe was furious, but his expression was calm. "All right, the truth has been revealed. Vice Palace Master Zhang Jian wanted to kill 3 Vice Palace Masters first. Inu, Shui Yao, and Feng Qing resisted. They are not guilty. All of you, behave yourselves." Inspector Baihe stood up, his old eyes staring deeply at Inu. He also glared at Tu Long, who had ruined things at the crucial moment, before leaving with hatred. The matter had been settled. "All of you can leave. Inu, stay." Ling Xiaoyan's expression was calm. When only Su Yu and him were left in the loft, Ling Xiaotian calmly looked toward the sky, calmly saying, "How is Tu Long's identity?" What he was concerned about was Tu Long. No, to be more precise, it was Tu Long who dared to kill a Vice Hall Master. Su Yu shook his head and said, "The mastermind behind the Black Water Pirates is not him, but the first head." With a hint of surprise in his eyes, Ling Xiaotian asked, "What is the other party's identity?" "I don't know. Tu Long has not been able to find out the truth, even after so many years," Su Yu reported honestly. Ling Xiaotian nodded lightly. "And we're the Blackwater Pirates. I'll make a trip there myself." Daring to assassinate a deputy palace master of the Empire of Darkness, he was extraordinary. It's already too late. The Blackwater Pirates have already been silenced by that first master. Not even the fowls and dogs are spared. Only this second leader had lost an arm and survived. The reason I brought him here today is that I hope to hand him over to the Hall Master to deal with. This was the reason why Su Yu had brought Tu Long along. That mysterious leader was ultimately a hidden threat, so he had no choice but to inform Ling Xiaotian. "You sure are clean." Ling Xiaotian snorted coldly. In this way, the clues were completely cut off. "Dragon Slayer. I'll leave him to you," Ling Xiaotian muttered. Just now, Tu Long had stepped forward bravely to help Su Yu. Ling Xiaotian had seen this. Su Yu nodded, understood. Turning around, Ling Xiaotian let out a warm smile, looking at Su Yu with satisfaction. "In just a month, you have changed a lot. Your potential is shocking." "It is the palace master who has nurtured me," Su Yu replied gratefully. Thinking back, Ling Xiaotian had saved him twice, giving him the chance to enter the Empire of Darkness, and even giving him the chance to walk on a bigger stage. Outside the Lucian faction, when Lu Jun was about to strike, Ling Xiaotian had appeared and scared Lu Jun away, gifting him the immortal level technique, 9 Fingers of Imaginary Thunder. During the alliance meet, Ling Xiaotian had appeared to protect Su Yu. He had also invited Su Yu to enter the Empire of Darkness. Su Yu would never forget his kindness. "You did not disappoint me. Hence, I'll give you a chance to improve further." Ling Xiaotian clapped his hands mysteriously. Deep within the loft, a lady with a slender figure and a beautiful figure, wearing a veil, walked over leisurely like a fairy. Even though her face was veiled, one could see the stunning beauty beneath the veil. A pair of crescent moon-like eyes flashed with a faint smile. Under the silver mask, Su Yu's lips twitched. "Hua Zhilan. Zhilan, this is the new Deputy Palace Master, Inu. She is Hua Zhilan, the 9th Deputy Palace Master. She entered the Empire of Darkness 5 years before you. Both of you are from 100 territories. Please keep in contact in the future." Hua Zhilan smiled as she curtsied. her crescent eyes sizing up Suyu curiously. A moment later, she pouted, "You are only 16 years old, but you are already at a mortal realm level 1 peak. You seem to be stronger than me." It looked like a compliment, but her tone was full of mockery. She did not take him seriously. Ling Xiaotian laughed and shook his head. "Don't look down on him. Even Zhang Jian lost to him." Hua Zhilan's crescent eyes narrowed, staring at Suyu without blinking. "Is that so?" Zhang Jian was ranked 5th. As a new deputy palace master, Suyu had to be impressed. "Palace Master Zhilan, please take care of me in the future. Hee, call me senior sister." Hua Zhilan suddenly laughed, puffing out her chest. Among the 10 vice palace masters, there was no seniority to speak of among them. Suyu laughed silently. This Hua Zhilan was a little strange. "Yes, senior sister Hua." Suyu laughed. On Shenyue Island, the 3 slaps on her buttocks had already written off all their grudges. "Inyu, I will give you a chance to further your studies." Ling Xiaotian finally returned to the main topic. "I will arrange for you and Zhilan to make a trip to Anyu City. Through there, you will enter the Dark Forest to train. I will send people to protect you in secret to ensure that you return safely from the Dark Forest." Training? Suyu did not understand. The Dark Forest was said to be a dangerous place. Humans rarely stepped into it. Was there any training value in that place? Hua Zhilan's eyes widened, surprised. "Is it finally my turn? Wait, I only got a chance after making a great contribution. Why can this lad, who has just arrived, go with me?" Hua Zhilan curled her lips. "He has made a great contribution. There are no objections. You will set off today." Ling Xiaotian did not give her a chance to refute, immediately saying, "Set off immediately?" Suyu did not understand. "Palace Master, isn't this a little rushed? I need to make arrangements for the Inu area. This trip to Anyu City would take at least a few months." He did not have time to make arrangements for the Inu area's affairs. "There is no need. Time is of the essence. There is no time." Palace Master Ling Xiaotian hurriedly said, "Our Empire of Darkness has an extremely good training ground. However, according to the reports, there's a beast tide coming from the Dark Forest. It will quickly cover the training ground. If you are late, you will be delayed by half a year. You need to complete your training before the beast tide arrives." Beast tide? Suyu and Hua Zhilan creased their brows at the same time. "Palace Master, I have something to report. Within the ocean, wild beasts and demonic beasts have all disappeared. It is extremely strange." Hua Zhilan revealed what she had seen in the ocean. This was what Suyu wanted to say. "Palace Master, within the past half a month, there's been a beast tide in my Inu area," Suyu said. Ling Xiaotian raised his brows. "Oh." At the same time, there were signs of a beast tide in the ocean, the center of the northern continent, and the Dark Forest. This matter was a little strange. I will inform the headquarters of this information. You can train with peace of mind. You can set off now." Suyu nodded, stepping out of the loft and walking towards Zi Yunxiang. "Yunxiang, I need to travel to Anyu City. Come with me," Suyu said. Bringing her with him was the safest move. If she was left in the Inu area and captured alive by the mysterious first head, the consequences would be unimaginable. Zi Yunxiang was elated, obediently agreeing. After which, Suyu looked toward Tu Long, calmly saying, "If you really wish to return to the family, I think it would be better for you to go personally. Follow me to the Dark Forest." Tu Long could not believe his ears. "You are not going to kill me?" Suyu's expression was cold. "If I really have to bear the guilt, a living person is far more repentant than a dead person." Tu Long's face was filled with excitement, the gratitude in his heart indescribable. He looked deeply at Suyu. "I, Tu Long, will remember your kindness for as long as I live." Just like that, including Hua Zhilan, the 4 of them quickly headed toward Anyu City. Half a day later, they had passed through half of the sub-palace's area and were about to leave. However, just as the Flying Eagle was about to pass through the sub-palace's area, an extremely sharp spirit energy shot down from the clouds in the sky. The spirit energy was as thick as a small bucket. It was like a beam of light, sneakily attacking from the layer of clouds. Suyu was cautious the entire way, keeping his vision within a 50-mile radius. Be careful. Just as there was a change in the layer of clouds, Su Yu had sensed it. He carried Zi Yunxiang and escaped from the giant eagle in time. As for Hua Zhilan, she was slightly further away from Su Yu. Su Yu did not have the time to carry her away and could only warn her. Rumble, bang. The spirit energy arrived in the blink of an eye. The giant eagle did not have time to react. It let out a pathetic cry on the spot, turning into gray dust. What a tyrannical spirit energy. Hua Zhilan did not have time to dodge, but she did not panic. She was clearly only Dragon Realm level 7, but her body was releasing a faint glow, after which her body dispersed, turning into a glow that filled the sky. After which, the glow gathered beside Su Yu, turning back into Hua Zhilan. This scene caused Su Yu to be extremely shocked. What kind of strange secret technique was that? Her body turning into light, then gathering again? Such a horrifying secret technique was truly breathtaking. But at this very moment, Su Yu had no time to pay attention to it. He shot toward the clouds with a serious expression, coldly saying, "You are an inspector, but you want to launch a sneak attack. Aren't you ashamed?" Whoosh! The clouds suddenly dispersed. A gust of wind blew past. 100 zhong in front of Su Yu and his group, there was an elderly man standing with his hands behind his back, as if he had teleported. It was Inspector Bai He. His expression was cold, his face filled with righteousness. "Humph. I represent the Empire's headquarters to capture and kill the traitors. You, Inu, killed your own people. You deserve to die." Su Yu could not help but laugh. Half a day ago, you announced on the spot that you had investigated the matter thoroughly. That was Ling Xiaoyan's corruption, affecting the fairness of the investigation. Now, I declare that you, Inu, are guilty and should be executed according to the law. Su Yu laughed in anger at his sophistry. I knew that an old thing like you would not let the matter rest. But if you want to kill me, just kill me. Why do you need to be so sanctimonious? Su Yu got into a defensive stance, but his heart was pounding. Inspector Bai He's abilities were unfathomable, as if he was even stronger than Ling Xiaotian. In front of such a strong martial artist, Su Yu did not even have the chance to attack. Chapter 309. Yunxiang, Tu Long, and Palace Master Zhilan split up and escape. Su Yu gave a light grunt. For Inspector Bai He to dare intercept them, it was clear that he was prepared to kill them all. The three of them had to split up in order for one of them to escape. Furthermore, if they had the chance to escape, Inspector Bai He would not dare kill them to prevent the matter from being exposed. As an inspector, I order all of you not to leave. If you dare take a step away, you will be punished according to the law. Inspector Bai He gave a stern scolding. Hua Zhilan tidied up her messy clothes, her face filled with anger. Old man, don't you have any shame? It was fine for an inspector to launch a sneak attack. It was fine for him to kill someone for no reason. What was worse was that he was clearly trying to kill them all, yet he was still speaking with such righteous words. Let's go. Zi Yunxiang and the other two were intelligent people. They knew that if they could escape, they would be giving Su Yu a chance to live. Whoosh whoosh, the three of them immediately escaped in 3 different directions. As for Su Yu, he flew in the other direction. Even Inspector Bai He could not chase him in 4 different directions at the same time. However, Inspector Bai He did not panic at all. Instead, the corners of his mouth curled into a cold smile. As the inspector, if I let you little kids escape from my hands, it would be the biggest joke in the world. Second grade clone technique. Buzz buzz. A shocking scene appeared. Inspector Bai He released a third of the spirit energy in his body, forming a silvery human figure. The outline was 90% similar to Inspector Bai He, and his abilities were at the terrifying Immortal Realm Level 4. A clone technique created using spirit energy? Whoosh whoosh. Inspector Bai He's clone chased after Hua Zhilan, while his main body chased after Su Yu with a cold smile. Traitor, I, as an inspector, will execute you on the spot. But the one at a disadvantage was Hua Zhilan. The clone's movement technique far surpassed Hua Zhilan's, arriving in an instant. Hua Zhilan had a bitter expression wanting to cry. Why are you chasing me? You brat, you've implicated me. Rumble. The clone's attack was ruthless and fast, a finger aimed at Huajilan's back. Huajilan was about to be killed. At this moment, creak, in the sky, a transparent human figure suddenly appeared. A hoarse old chuckle that was like a magnet came from the transparent figure. He. Inspector Bai is in a good mood to be so ruthless towards a group of children. Why don't you try this old servant? The doppelganger abruptly raised its head. The spiritual energy all over its body vibrated, showing signs of dispersing. Walala, the transparent human figure suddenly rippled like water and turned into thousands of raindrops, falling down in a downpour. Puff, puff. In the cold rain, the doppelganger had no way of dodging and was pierced through like a sieve. Finally, with a puff, it was annihilated on the spot. On the other side, Suyu had just taken a few steps when Inspector Bai appeared in front of him with his hands clasped behind his back. Brat, do you think that you, a mere deputy hall master, can escape from me? Inspector Bai's eyes were filled with killing intent. You killed the commander of my guards, contradicted me, and violated my authority. Even if you die 100 times, you will not be able to atone for your sins. Inspector Bai shouted coldly. A thick, murderous aura assaulted Suyu's senses, and he was greatly alarmed. Facing this person alone was far more dangerous than Han Jianglin. This person was on a completely different level from Han Jianglin. Finally putting on that righteous facade? In the end, you had just lost all your face and must kill me. Suyu mocked without fear. With the other party's killing intent, any pleading or showing weakness would be unnecessary. Little beast, I will send you on your way now. Inspector Bai revealed his murderous intent. Space transportation. At the critical moment, Suyu had already prepared to use his space ability. A space energy enveloped his body, sending him 10 miles away. However, at the instant the power of space appeared, Inspector Bai sneered in disdain. In front of me, you still dare to show off your insignificant space powers. Break. He casually flicked out a bolt of spirit energy. At that moment, the spirit energy around Suyu became chaotic, causing the space energy to tremble. The transportation that was about to be completed was instantly broken. Suyu's expression changed. This was the first time someone had broken a space ability head-on. Seal of time. Suyu clenched his teeth, deciding on the spot. A purple dragon instantly coiled around Inspector Bai's body. Even if it was only for a breath's time, it could buy him some time. But what caused Suyu's expression to change was, you have many tricks up your sleeves. Unfortunately, I have said that everything is futile in front of me. With a low grunt, the formless purple dragon coiling around Inspector Bai's body let out a dragon's roar and collapsed. Suyu's pupils dilated. There was actually someone who could break free of the seal of time. Just what kind of abilities did he have? Time control. Space vortex. As he retreated, Suyu continuously increased the speed of time. At the same time, he created a space vortex in Inspector Bai's body, distorting his heart. But time that was 3 times faster was not worth mentioning in front of Inspector Bai. With a slight shake of his body, Inspector Bai shattered the space whirlpool at his heart, after which he took a seemingly normal step. But this step covered a distance of 1,000 feet, coming within 10 feet of Suyu. At that moment, a boundless sense of death filled his heart. It was as if a mountain was pressing down on him. The difference between them was too great, like a chasm. In front of him, Suyu had no way of retaliating. Was he going to die in the hands of a villain? But at this moment, a frightening ripple suddenly radiated from beside them. A 10-foot-long crystal spear pierced through the air from the direction of the Lingxiao Palace, aiming for Inspector Bai's chest. The cold expression of Inspector Bai changed. Palace Garrison Divine Artifact, Broken Divine Spear. With a change in expression, Inspector Bai had no time to care about Suyu. He hurriedly revolved his spirit energy, forming a shield to block the spear. Crack! The shield shattered on the spot, unable to block the spear in the slightest. The long spear pierced through, piercing Inspector Bai's chest. Whew, he spat out a mouthful of blood. His snow-white beard instantly dyed red. His chest was a mess of flesh and blood, with a bowl-shaped hole. With just one strike, he had heavily injured the unfathomably strong Inspector Baihe. What kind of terrifying divine artifact was the broken divine spear? Compared to it, the divine ice ring was not even worth mentioning. Whoosh! In a flash of lightning, a figure teleported over, holding the broken divine spear that was covered in blood. He was handsome and had an extraordinary aura. His light blue robe fluttered in the wind. His handsome face, which had always been calm, was now covered in frost. Inspector Baihe's eyelids twitched, staring at the broken divine spear, not daring to look away. Ling Xiaotian, you used the palace garrison divine artifact so casually? This is used to kill the enemy. How dare you use it on an inspector? I will definitely report this matter to the Lord and get him to make a decision. He was clearly the one who assassinated the vice palace master, but the guilty party was the first to accuse him. Ling Xiaotian held the divine artifact, his gaze cold. Do. You used the name of an inspector to force me to hand over the vice palace master. I could tolerate this. You used Inyu's matter to punish him on the surface, but in reality, you were suppressing me. I can tolerate this as well. But you killed someone from the North Continent's sub-palace. I cannot forgive you. Every dragon had a reverse scale. Anyone who touched it would be killed. Ling Xiaotian had promised Su Yu that as long as he was around, Su Yu would be at ease. Since I used the broken divine spear, you have no chance of survival. I will personally report to the King of Darkness about using the broken divine spear. Now, Ling Xiaotian held the broken divine spear, pointing it at Inspector Baihe. Chapter 3:10. Inspector Baihe's expression turned pale, retreating, shocked, and afraid. Ling Xiaotian, do you wish to fight to the death? I was merely acting on impulse, muddle-headed for a moment. If you need it, I can apologize to you. Ling Xiaotian's expression was calm. Muddle-headed for a moment? If not for me secretly following them, wouldn't they have all died because of your muddle-headed? I do not need your apology. What I need is justice for the children with your blood. A threat of murderous intent flashed past Ling Xiaotian's lips. He had slandered Su Yu in an attempt to kill him. His plan had failed, and he had despicably set up an ambush to kill Su Yu. This sort of person could only be resolved by killing him. Inspector Baihe's expression was extremely ugly. Ling Xiaotian, think this through. You dare kill me? As an inspector, I am in charge of monitoring your every move. Killing me is equivalent to rebelling. If you stop now, it is not too late. Ling Xiaotian was filled with murderous intent. You do not have the right to monitor me. After I kill you, I will personally go to the headquarters to ask for forgiveness. So be at ease on your way. Broken divine spear. With a low grunt, the crystal spear released a crystalline glow from within. A sharp glow that could destroy the world exploded in terror. Rumble. The ground shook, dark clouds covering the sky. Within 100 miles, all the birds and beasts scattered in all directions. The spirit energy in the 1,000-mile sky was in chaos. Wild winds blew, howling through the heavens. In just a moment, the world lost its color, the sun and moon losing their light. In the darkness, only the crystal spear released a dazzling glow, as if it was the only one in the world. Su Yu was shocked. This was the true power of the broken divine spear. The moment it appeared, the world lost its color. Inspector Baihe's eyes were filled with fear, his old body trembling uncontrollably. Whoosh! Without another word, Inspector Baihe turned to escape. The spear in Ling Xiaotian's hands vibrated, turning into a crystalline silver glow, piercing through the clouds. Creak! Inspector Baihe, who had just escaped a few steps, did not even have the time to scream before he was blasted into dust. A dignified admiral had died so easily under a divine weapon. Whoosh! Ling Xiaotian waved his hand, and the broken divine spear returned to his palm. The fluorescent light dissipated, and the world returned to normal. Su Yu's face was filled with shock as he stared at the broken divine spear in disbelief. This is one of the 12 divine weapons of the Empire of Darkness, the broken divine spear. The 5 great sub-palaces and the 7 great saints each have one. They have been passed down from ancient times and are the most destructive power of the Empire of Darkness. If one day you become the Palace Master or one of the 7 Lords of Darkness, you will also have the chance to control one. So you licked his lips excitedly. The Empire of Darkness, most destructive power? With the suppression of these 12 divine weapons, it was no wonder that the Empire of Darkness's luck did not decline even after 10,000 years. However, from Inspector Baihe's words, it was not hard to tell that the price of using the 12 divine weapons was extremely high. At this moment, Suyu noticed that although Ling Xiaoyan's expression was calm, his face was slightly pale, and there was no spiritual energy in his body. A single strike had depleted a Deputy Hall Master's stamina and spiritual energy. All right, I am fine. Both of you can continue your journey with a peace of mind. Remember to come back as soon as possible. I have other important matters for you and Jilan. Ling Xiaoyan gently stroked Su Yu's head, smiled kindly, and left. After that, Hua Jilan, Zi Yunxiang, and Tu Long returned. That was a palace garrison divine weapon. Hua Jilan's crescent moon eyes were filled with seriousness. She looked at Su Yu with a profound gaze. The group continued their journey. Hua Jilan's gaze fell on Su Yu from time to time, causing him to feel uncomfortable. Half a day later, when they were resting along the way, Hua Jilan approached, staring at Su Yu. Can you tell me why Palace Master Ling chose you to become the 10th Deputy Hall Master? Su Yu was surprised. It is just Palace Master Ling's undeserved favor. However, Hua Jilan shook her head. No, Palace Master Ling's eyes are more vicious than anyone else's. He would definitely not make a mistake. The fact that he handed the nameless area over to you proves everything. So you could not help but laugh. The nameless area is barren. What value does it have? I was the last to arrive, and I had no other choice. Haha, what if I told you that Palace Master Shinkong had always wanted your territory, even if he did not mind using his rich Shangkong area to exchange for it? Hua Jilan's crescent moon eyes narrowed, as if she wanted to see something in Su Yu's eyes. Palace Master Shun Kong? The nameless area's neighbor was Palace Master Shun Kong. This was the strongest Deputy Hall Master among the 10 great Deputy Hall Masters. Palace Master Shun Kong? He coveted the barren land of the nameless area. Not only him, the other Deputy Hall Masters, including me, once wished to take control of this territory, but were all rejected by Palace Master Ling. The 10 great Deputy Hall Masters were fighting over that barren land. You do not seem to know the importance of your territory, Hua Jilan said. Do you know that it is known as the North Continent's central area? So you knew about this. The Empire of Darkness was located in the center of the North Continent. Coincidentally, the Inu area was located in the center of the North Continent. What is the significance of just being the central area? So you did not understand. Hua Jilan had an envious expression. Do you know that the North Continent's central area is the birthplace of the Empire of Darkness? In the history of the Empire, the first time the Empire of Darkness descended upon the Jinlong continent was in the Nameless area. This area has a deep significance, and it is equivalent to the luck of the Empire of Darkness. Every generation, there would be a mysterious fighter sent by the King of Darkness to protect it. An ordinary Hall Master does not have the right to govern it. I do not understand why Palace Master Ling would hand it over to a little kid like you. Pouting, Hua Jilan had an indignant expression. Does Palace Master Ling treat you too well? In fact, he did not hesitate to use the Palace Garrison Divine Artifact to save you. So he was shocked. The Nameless area had such a history. Moreover, the King of Darkness had personally sent a mysterious fighter to protect it. Who was that mysterious fighter? Where was he? In the Inu area? Forget it. It seems like you do not know anything. Hua Jilan observed Su Yu's expression secretly, confirming that he did not know anything. She lost interest. Let's hurry. The beast tide is approaching. We cannot waste any time. After resting for a moment, the 4 of them continued their journey. What no one knew was that, at the battleground, Amidst the dust, there was a sudden movement. A crack appeared on the ground. An old hand crawled out from within the crack. Looking over, the person who appeared was Inspector Baihe, who should have been dead. His body was festering, his aura weak, his face pale. His cultivation level had fallen to a mortal realm level 3 peak, not even comparable to a clone. Crawling out, Inspector Baihe's face was filled with fear. The power of the 12 divine artifacts is indeed unfathomable. If not for my second-grade clone technique breaking through to top class a month ago and being able to create 2 clones to hide from Ling Xiaotian, I would have died here today. But even if he survived, his body was severely injured, his cultivation level dropping. Feeling the weakness of his body and the drop in his cultivation level, Inspector Baihe's old face was filled with hatred, like a ferocious ghost. Ling Xiaotian, you and I are irreconcilable. Whoosh! He took out a paper crane from his robes. After spitting out a mouthful of blood, the paper crane flew in the direction of the Middle Continent. Inform Lord Bai Luo that Ling Xiaotian is using the divine artifact recklessly. The time is ripe. The paper crane nodded its head like a human, turning into a blood-red afterimage, disappearing into the horizon. Following which, Inspector Baihe looked in Su Yu's direction with hatred. Ling Xiaotian, I will make you wish you were dead. Since you did not allow me to kill them, I will kill them all. Whoosh! Chapter 3:11. 1 month later, the border between the northern continent and the eastern continent. Standing above the 9 heavens, as far as the eye could see, the horizon was an endless, dense black forest. It was like a raging wave, swaying in the depths of the sky. It was impenetrable, vast, and long, giving off a sense of oppression. That was the dark forest. It was a primordial land that had not been visited by humans for tens of thousands of years. It was rumored that the depths of the dark forest were where all sorts of demonic beasts gathered. It was a forbidden ground for humans. Apart from a few talented humans who could live there, normal humans would not be able to return once they entered. At the edge of the black forest, there was a towering giant, majestic like the last fortress guarding the borders of the human race. Looking from afar, there was a long stream of people entering and exiting the city. Hua Zhilan looked at the sky, her tone filled with respect. U.S. City is filled with powerful fighters. It does not belong to any of the northern continent's factions. Once we enter, our identities are no longer important. We must not keep a low profile. U.S. City's geographical location was unique, similar to the Empire of Darkness. The 3 superpowers of the northern continent, the Snow Listening Tower, the Cabinet of the Phoenix, and the 100 Territories Alliance, could not govern the city independently. As such, many unknown fighters had gathered in U.S. City. Among them were traitors from the 3 factions, as well as experts who had concealed their identities. In fact, there were people from the superpowers who had entered the Dark Forest through U.S. City to train. Tu Long looked at the familiar U.S. City and sighed. It has been 10 years since we last met. Who would pity the return of a prodigal son? So you creased his brows. Tu Long seemed willing to return to the Tu family, but he was a little hesitant. Could it be that he was afraid of returning home? Shaking his head, Su Yu arrived at the city gate with the other 3. The entrance was heavily guarded, and the restrictions on those who entered were extremely strict. Do I need to pay a certain amount of money to enter? Su Yu asked. It was not strange for some cities to collect money from those who entered in order to gain wealth. Hua Zhilan pointed at a stone tablet at the city gate that was as tall as the city walls. There is no need for money, just proof of your abilities. U.S. City is filled with all sorts of people. If you are not strong enough, you will most likely end up in a miserable state if you enter. Thus, we purposely limit the cultivation of those who enter. Those who do not meet the requirements are forbidden from entering. This way, we can prevent chaos in the city where the strong bully the weak. As long as you have reached the Dragon Realm and above, you can enter. The test method is to place your palm on the stone tablet and gather all the spiritual energy in your palm. The stone tablet will give you the corresponding test result. Those who pass can enter. Everyone nodded and walked forward to line up silently. They waited patiently for a full hour under the blazing sun. Finally, it was their turn. "I'll go first," Huajilan personally demonstrated. She walked to the front of the stone tablet, placed her white and clean hand on the stone tablet, and silently gathered spiritual energy in her palm. ZZ, the green stone tablet suddenly emitted waves of green halos. Dragon Realm Level 7 Pinnacle qualified. Enter. Beside the stone tablet, an old man of Immortal Level 1 said indifferently. Huajilan entered the city lightly and waited for Su Yu in the city. Next, the old man didn't even lift his eyelids as he sat proudly beside the stone tablet and ordered calmly. Su Yu moved his feet and was about to walk forward. At this moment, a cold wind assaulted him from the side, pushing Su Yu aside. It was a green-robed young man, about 20 years old. He was handsome and elegant. His cultivation level was not weak. He was Immortal Level 3. He was Immortal Level 3 at the age of 20. In terms of talent, he was above the 4th Deputy Palace Master and Fawn. He held a folding fan in his hand, the tip of the fan casually pointing at Su Yu's chest. He forcefully pushed Su Yu's body away, opening up a wide path. At the same time, the folding fan was pointed at Su Yu's chest, preventing him from going forward again. His eyes did not even look at Su Yu. He elegantly turned his head and looked behind him. "Senior Wei, you go first." Su Yu creased his brows. It was fine if he cut the queue. It was a matter of character. But to use the folding fan to poke his chest and forcefully open up a path for someone else was rude. "Let go." Su Yu was still calm, but the young man ignored him, still smiling as he looked at Senior Wei. He slowly walked to the front of the stone tablet. It was as if he did not hear the person beside him speaking. At this moment, Senior Wei walked over along the path. He was only 20 years old. He was tall and had a head full of flowing black hair. His facial features were handsome, and he had an extraordinary aura. What was even more frightening was that his aura was faintly emitted. Immortal Level 3 Upper Tier. Everyone turned to look at him wherever he passed, especially the ladies waiting in line. Their eyes were filled with excitement. Wei Tianxian seemed to enjoy such gazes. He slowly walked toward the stone tablet. The old guard creased his brows, his expression unfriendly. But when he felt the powerful aura of the two of them, he suppressed his impatience. When Wei Tianxian slowly walked to the front of the stone tablet, he casually placed his palm on the stone tablet, leisurely gathering spirit energy. At that moment, the green stone tablet let out a red glow. It's the Immortal Realm. Green represents Dragon Realm. Red represents Immortal Realm. What terrifying talent! He has already reached the Immortal Realm at the age of 20. Buzz buzz. The stone tablet let out a light sound, a row of words glowing. What? Immortal Level 3 Upper Tier. The crowd gasped. The impatient old man's face trembled violently. His eyes were filled with respect. He stood up unknowingly, his expression respectful. Immortal Level 3. Please enter. His tone was completely different from how he treated Huajilan. Wei Tianxian enjoyed being the center of attention. His expression was calm. In the silence, he walked into the city with his hands behind his back. But at this moment, a discordant voice could be heard. "Are you deaf? I told you to move your hand away." Su Yu creased his brows, repeating himself. His voice was not loud, but in such a quiet environment, it was hard for the crowd not to hear him. Many pairs of eyes shot toward the silver-masked, silver-haired youth. His face cannot be seen clearly. Only his unique silver hair attracted the attention of the crowd. The youth, who had his fan pointed at Su Yu's chest, wanted to pretend that he did not hear Su Yu's words, but had no choice but to turn his head. A handsome face had a faint smile. However, it was not a smile, but a sneer. "So you were talking to me?" The youth examined Su Yu from head to toe, shaking his head and sighing. "Remember to speak louder next time. When you are inconspicuous, you must learn to shout with all your might. That way, you might be able to attract attention." In other words, Su Yu is too small in front of him. "I'm only asking you to move your fan away. Why are you speaking so much nonsense?" Su Yu ignored him, the spirit energy in his body vibrating. SSSSS. He exerted his strength, the spirit energy traveling through the fan to the youth's palm. Caught off guard, his wrist hurt, and he instinctively retracted it. Lad, you. The youth shook his aching wrist. His sneer disappeared, replaced by a cold expression. Chapter 312. The youth was furious. Just as he was about to explode, he heard Wei Tianxin's displeasure. Why are you wasting time? Get over here. The youth was startled, suppressing his anger. He glared at Su Yu, then headed toward the stone tablet to check his spirit energy. Immortal Realm, level 3 lower tier. At that moment, the crowd was in an uproar. Has the world gone mad? Another super genius of Immortal Realm, level 3. Where did the two of them come from to be so outstanding? The two of them entered the city leisurely. The youth followed behind Wei Tianxin, his anger still lingering. Senior Wei, why didn't you let me vent my anger just now? That kid looked down on us. If we don't punish him, the reputation of the Snow Listening Tower will be destroyed. Wei Tianxin walked in front, his handsome face slightly dark. Humph. Being calculative with a small fry will damage the reputation of the Snow Listening Tower. Furthermore, we have come to Onus City to train. We have to rush to the Phoenix Cabinet within a month to participate in the North Continent's Phoenix Meet. We have no time to waste. Hearing about the Phoenix Meet, the youth's expression turned serious. Yes, Senior is right. The two of them were the disciples of the North Continent's #1 superpower, the Snow Listening Tower. At the city gate, the examiner sent the two of them off, his eyes filled with respect. To think that they are two of the 4 great sons of the Snow Listening Tower. The new generation truly excels the old. Each generation has its own talents. After sighing, the examiner regained his indifferent expression, sitting down once again. He lifted his eyelids arrogantly, calmly looking at Su Yu, shaking his head. Young and impetuous, ignorant and fearless. This is as far as you will go. All right, you have already delayed for a long time. Why aren't you coming over? If you do not wish to enter the city, I will grant you your wish. The examiner glared at Su Yu, letting out a roar. His attitude was unbridled, his arrogance extraordinary. Su Yu laughed angrily. Old man, don't you think this is a joke? They cut the queue boldly. You did not stop them. They were slowly testing, wasting time. You did not persuade them. They created trouble out of nothing, finding trouble with me. You did not stop them. But now, you are speaking to a junior like me, saying that I am wasting time. Don't you think it's ridiculous? Su Yu's words were sharp and went straight to the point. The old man was stunned. Then, his face darkened, and he said in an unfriendly tone, Are you talking to me? His old body stood up slowly. The aura of an immortal level 1 lower tier scared a large number of people away, creating a large empty space. Everyone was alarmed. This silver-haired youth was too reckless. Not only did he offend 2 immortal level 3 super geniuses, he also spoke bluntly, making it difficult for the elderly examiner to step down. Although they sympathized with Su Yu, as he had indeed gone overboard in testing the old man, they knew that it was the right thing to do in this world to put one's own safety before things go awry. However, Su Yu did not restrain himself. Instead, he spoke bluntly and coldly. Apart from you, who else could it be? He was afraid of their strength and turned a blind eye to their actions. Instead, he was full of praises. To people like me who are obviously not as good as them, yet they speak so harshly and scold so easily. How can a coward like you, who bullies the weak and fears the strong, be qualified to sit at the examination table? The whole place was dead silent. Was this kid's brain muddled? He actually dared to say such disgraceful words. The elderly examiner's expression was gloomy. Kid, you insulted the manager of Onus City. I suspect that you have ill intentions. Come with me. He was so angry that he wanted to laugh. In all these years, there had never been someone who did not know the immensity of heaven and earth and behaved atrociously in Onus City. If he did not teach Su Yu a lesson, where would he put his face? Where would the dignity of Onus City be? Creak. However, what caused the elderly examiner to laugh in anger was that not only did Su Yu not show any signs of remorse, he even attacked. A bolt of purple lightning streaked past the tip of his finger, heading toward the elderly examiner. He had wanted to casually block it. However, when the lightning neared his body, the elderly examiner realized that the weak lightning contained a destructive power. A weak bolt of lightning landed on his body, causing his old body to tremble violently. The spirit energy in his body was unusually violent, and he could not control it. His body was limp and numb. Not only that, he could not even speak. He could only watch as Suyu pointed his finger at him. His heart was in a state of shock. A mere remnant power had caused him to be unable to retaliate. What kind of peerless ability was this? Seeing the lightning strike, the elderly examiner's expression turned pale. His legs trembled involuntarily, his throat dry. He was filled with regret. He had offended a powerful fighter in a moment of carelessness. The elderly examiner closed his eyes in fear. However, the pain he expected did not appear. Instead, a gust of wind brushed past his body. After that, the stone tablet let out a buzzing sound. The crowd let out a gasp. Immortal Realm Level 2 Lower Tier. My God, he is only 16 years old. In terms of talent, he is above those two youths. Another super genius has appeared. The elderly examiner's body returned to normal. He turned to look at the words on the stone tablet, his pupils dilating to the size of a needle. Immortal Realm. Level 2, Suyu calmly said. Do you still want me to follow you? Hearing this, the elderly examiner's face turned red. He was ashamed. Putting aside the fact that Suyu had such talent, he definitely had a shocking background. Just based on his abilities alone, he was not someone an Immortal Realm Level 1 lower tier could offend. Bowing, the elderly examiner was embarrassed. Mister, please enter. Do your job properly. It is not advisable to judge a book by its cover. So you could not be bothered to argue with him, entering the city with his hands behind his back. The elderly examiner wore an ashamed expression, gratefully bowing to Suyu. Regardless of whether it was a friendly reminder or the mercy he had shown Suyu previously, both were worthy of this bow. After that, the elderly examiner's attitude became more proper. Zi Yunxiang easily entered. When it was Tu Long's turn, the elderly examiner was slightly stunned. You look a little familiar. Tu Long let out a laugh. I am merely a returning prodigal son. Nodding his head, the elderly examiner did not ask any further questions. The four of them entered the city, immediately searching for a spacious and simple inn. Huajilan and Suyu were having a secret conversation. Our training grounds only open when the moon is full. Our journey this time around is rather fast, hence we are a few days ahead of schedule. Let's wait patiently. Huajilan had been rushing all the way. Once she sat down, she could not help but stretch. Her slender figure was beautiful and elegant under the dim light. Especially her alluring waist, it made people want to stop. The urge to ravage her. Suyu froze, an indescribable restlessness flashing past his mind. It's happening again. Suyu forcefully suppressed his evil thoughts. He could not remember how many times he had lost control of his thoughts. All right, if there is nothing else, I will return to my room to rest. Suyu forced himself to remain calm, getting up hurriedly, unwilling to stay any longer. Huajilan rolled her eyes at him. It was a mischievous look, but she suddenly noticed that Suyu was acting strangely. Chapter 3:13. As she spoke, she took light steps forward and teased. If you are willing to take off your mask, I will give you a kiss. How could she not be curious about Suyu's silver mask, which he never took off? She didn't know why, but she always felt that Suyu was someone she was familiar with. But she could not remember who he was. It was no wonder she could not recognize Suyu. Firstly, when they had met on Shenyue Island, Suyu's voice was hoarse and had yet to recover. His voice now was completely different. Secondly, his cultivation level had changed greatly. When they had met on Shenyue Island, he was only Dragon Realm Level 5. Now, he was Immortal Realm Level 1 peak. It was difficult to connect the two. Suyu rolled his eyes. Teasing her had deepened his thoughts. Taking a deep breath, Suyu walked out while he was still calm. Seeing your sister, rest. I will return to my room. Just as Suyu was about to open the door, the waiter's voice came from outside. Both of you are here. Apologies, but please forgive us. The store has been booked. Would the both of you like to stay elsewhere? The waiter said, "We cannot afford to offend the person. Please be considerate. We are willing to compensate you double the cost of the trip." Suyu raised his brows. "Oh, booked? Who?" If they had not checked in, they would not have any objections if someone had booked the store. However, they had already checked in, yet the person who came was so rude and unreasonable as to rent out the inn and chase them away. Thud, thud. Footsteps could be heard coming from the staircase. Of course it is someone you cannot afford to offend. Letting you go now is for your own good. You might not be able to leave later. The person had yet to arrive, but his arrogant words had already reached them. Following that, a short, plump man with his hands clasped behind his back walked up to the waiter. "Trash. You can't even do this." He was about 20 years old, but his cultivation level was average, only Dragon Realm level 5. So he felt like he had seen this person somewhere before. It was as if he had only seen him once in a crowd. "Did you hear what I said? I asked you to leave." The plump man looked at Suyu and the rest with his nose in the air. But when his gaze landed on Suyu, it froze. His arrogant face froze on the spot and gradually turned pale. His body trembled slightly, and the sound of him swallowing came from his throat. His eyes stared at Suyu, and they were as wide as bronze bells. Deep within his eyes, there was fear and hatred. He said with a trembling voice, You are Inu." Hatred? Killing intent flickered in Suyu's eyes as he coldly asked, "Do you know me?" "Ah." Being questioned by Suyu, the slightly plump young man's face turned the color of a pig's liver. He let out a shriek, stomped on the stairs, and frantically ran down the stairs. Everyone looked at each other. Zi Yunxiang, who had rushed over after hearing the news, looked at Duan Yu's departing figure and said thoughtfully, "Isn't he called Duan Yu? During the alliance meet, he fought with me before. At that time, his abilities were only at Dragon Realm level 4. Now, he should be accepted into the Xintian Manor." Duan Yu? Suyu found the name familiar. However, the fact that the people of Xintian Manor were here meant that several gusts of wind came from the staircase. One of them seemed to have teleported and reached the second floor before the others. He had an imposing figure, a sanctimonious appearance, and an extraordinary aura. When he saw Suyu, he released a monstrous killing intent, a frightening aura that was close to Ling Xiaoyan spread. Zi Yunxiang's breathing stopped, and she found it difficult to breathe. Her body was stiff, but her eyes were filled with deep hatred. Han, Jiang, Lin. Her family had been destroyed, and it was all because of Han Jianglin. To think that they would meet today. Her deep hatred caused Zi Yunxiang to lose her rationality. At this moment, a large hand gently landed on her shoulder. The aura that had suppressed her to the point where she could not move was alleviated. Suyu and Han Jianglin looked at each other, their hearts filled with surprise. As the Alliance Master of the 100 Territories Alliance, why had he come to An U.S. City? Haha, Alliance Master Han. I trust you have been well since we last met. It has been half a year, but you are still as elegant as ever. Your nature of bullying the weak is still the same. Suyu laughed indifferently. He did not feel much of a burden from the other party's aura. Back then, when Han Jianglin attacked at close range, his entire body turned rigid, the spirit energy in his body stagnant. He did not even have the strength to retaliate. But now, he could resist more than half of the aura. Han Jianglin's eyes were filled with monstrous killing intent, but he forcefully suppressed it. The current Suyu was the Deputy Palace Master of the Empire of Darkness, and his status was high. If he were to kill him in front of everyone, what awaited him would be the fury of the Empire of Darkness. That was not something he could bear. Inu, it has been half a year, and you have improved so much. Congratulations. Han Jianglin clenched his teeth, forcefully suppressing the urge to kill Suyu. Suyu laughed as usual. Same to you. I wonder how your son's injuries are. Creak. Han Jianglin clenched his fists, his body releasing a cold, killing intent. He had already restrained himself to the limit. His eyes were bloodshot, like an extremely furious beast. He clenched his teeth so hard that they made a cracking sound. Thanks to you, he is already dead. That day, he had been beaten half to death by Su Yu, with only his last breath. And the most important flesh regeneration elixir had been won by him in front of everyone at the Alliance meet. Other than death, he could not think of any other way for him to live. Su Yu shrugged. I see. My condolences, Alliance Master Han. Thud, thud, thud. At this moment, two more people came up, a man and a woman. The man was a youth, about 20 years old. He had an ordinary appearance, but his aura was sinister. His eyes narrowed into slits as he looked at people, giving off the feeling of a venomous snake. But his abilities were at a mortal realm level 3 lower tier. The other woman was slightly older, about 30 years old. Her appearance was ordinary, her expression cold and arrogant, pushing people away. But her abilities were ridiculously strong at a mortal realm level 3 peak, just a step away from a mortal realm level 4. The man did not have the time to look at Su Yu and his group, saying in shock, Master, that mean you really came? Master? Zi Yunxiang, who was standing behind Su Yu, shot a sharp gaze toward the man, her hatred rising again. She mocked, Gao Song, one of the 3 heavenly kings of the Xintian Manor in the past, has changed so quickly, acknowledging a thief as his master? My father treated you well when he was at the Xintian Manor. The young man was Gao Song. Hearing what was said, he looked over, his expression turning serious. Yunxiang. She was the #1 beauty of the Xintian Manor in the past, the daughter of the housemaster, who in the Alliance continent did not see her as a fairy in their dreams. Gao Song was born in poverty, and Housemaster Zi was a mythical being that he looked up to. His daughter was beautiful and had a noble status. He had secretly hoped many times that he could marry Zi Yunxiang and become Housemaster Zi's son-in-law. But things had changed with the passage of time. Housemaster Zi's fate was unknown, and Han Jianglin had become the supreme being of the 100 territories of the Alliance continent. When Han Jianglin asked him if he was willing to become Alliance Master Han's disciple, he did not think for long, immediately becoming Alliance Master Han's disciple. Chapter 314. As for the other 2 heavenly kings, they had rejected Han Jianglin's offer and were imprisoned. That was the treatment of the super geniuses. The rest of the students who did not comply were all massacred. The number of students in the Xintian Manor was halved. Facing Zi Yunxiang again, Gao Song's extravagant hopes faded. All that was left was regret and the dissatisfaction of not being satisfied. Yunxiang, listen to my explanation. Alliance Master Han is talented and ambitious. Under his leadership, the geniuses of the 100 territories will have a future and walk towards glory. Yunxiang, please let go of your hatred and forgive Alliance Master Han. He is not as narrow-minded as you think. If you are willing to return, I think Alliance Master Han will give you a chance. Zi Yunxiang was speechless. When her father was still in power, he had helped the 3 great heavenly kings with all his might, focusing on nurturing them. But Gao Song had turned around and acknowledged the enemy as his teacher. That was fine, but he had actually praised the enemy who killed her father. Could it be that when her father was still in power, the Xintian Manor did not have a future? Furthermore, he had even asked her to forgive the enemy who killed her father in such a dignified manner. She was filled with righteousness. Seeing that Zi Yunxiang was silent, Gao Song thought that he had shaken Zi Yunxiang's heart. His tone was gentle and filled with emotion. Yunxiang, come back. Why not return to the Xintian Manor? You will still be a princess. If you are willing, I can accompany you for the rest of your life. Just as he was filled with emotion, a cough broke the atmosphere. Cough, cough. That Gao Song, right? Su Yu grabbed Zi Yunxiang's slender waist, calming her trembling body. You are indebted to Housemaster Zi. You have turned to the enemy. You are an ungrateful person. You do not need to suck up to Alliance Master Han to clear your name. You will always be an ungrateful person in this life, and you will never be able to clear your name. Advise Yunxiang to forget about her father's death. You are devoid of conscience and worse than a beast. Do not be so shameless as to advise others to be like you. So you shook his head in disappointment, looking toward Han Jianglin. You have a good eye. If he could betray Housemaster Z today, he could betray you tomorrow. This kind of ungrateful person is worse than a beast. Alliance Master Han, are you so hungry that you cannot be choosy? Do you want to take anyone under your wing? Gao Tsong's face turned red from the continuous mocking that hit the nail on the head. What he hated the most was people mocking him for being ungrateful. You shut up. I'm thinking for Yunxiang's sake. Who do you think you are? How dare you spread your lies here? Also, get your filthy hands off Yunxiang. So he was still hugging Z Yunxiang. When he felt that her body was gradually stabilizing, he was slightly relieved and let go of her subconsciously. However, Z Yunxiang continued to lean on Su Yu, as if she was a helpless girl who was unwilling to abandon a safe harbor. This scene caused Gao Tsong's heart to ache. The #1 goddess of the 100 Territories Alliance, the fairy of countless people's dreams, was already in Yin Yu's grasp. Let me say it again, give me. Su Yu interrupted him mercilessly and furrowed his brows in disgust. You could do ungrateful things, but you won't allow others to talk about it? Take a good look at yourself in the mirror. Look at your face. Everyone hates you. To Su Yu, who valued favors and relationships, ungrateful people were undoubtedly the people he hated the most in his life. Gao Tsong was furious, his eyes about to spit fire. Han Jianglin, who was at the side, had an ugly expression. Yu, this place has been booked by me. You can leave now. He did not want to be entangled with Su Yu. At least, it was not the time. Unexpectedly, Su Yu was calm and composed, standing with his arms crossed. You want me to leave, and I will leave? I will stay here first. You can stay here if you want. Gao Tsong shouted angrily. Don't be so shameless. We have already spoken nicely to you. You want to do it the hard way? Su Yu calmly looked over. If you're so powerful, you can book the entire US city. If you are so capable, why do you need to stay in a small inn? Speaking of which, the inn was ordinary and not eye-catching. It did not have any luxuries to speak of. However, Han Jianglin booked the entire place in one go, causing Su Yu to guess. It was as if Han Jianglin did not wish to do things in a high profile, choosing such a secluded and quiet place to stay. Moreover, he booked the entire place to prevent others from being around. Could it be that he wanted to do some shady business? Gao Tsong's face turned red from the humiliation. If not for Han Jianglin being present, he would have pounced forward and torn Su Yu's mouth into pieces. Han Jianglin glared at Su Yu coldly. It's a small world. Yu, you'd better watch yourself. Let's go. This place has already caused a commotion. The possibility of him being exposed has increased. There is no benefit in arguing here. Gao Tsong was indignant. However, he could only suppress his anger and leave with Han Jianglin. After the crowd had left, Su Yu's gaze flashed. Waiter, did anything big happen in US City recently? The waiter froze. Could it be that you're not here for the two families auction? Su Yu and Hua Zhilan raised their brows at the same time. The waiter laughed. So you really do not know. The two families auction is held twice a year. They would send out invitations to all the powerhouses in the North Continent. You should not belong to any powerhouse. Hence you did not receive the invitation. Thinking back to the four sons of the Snow Listening Tower, Su Yu understood. If that was the case, would the Phoenix Cabinet send someone? Would Siener come? Su Yu's heart warmed, filled with anticipation. Hua Zhilan pondered. Two families auction? What's so special about the auction? The waiter shook his head, indicating that he did not know. There is nothing special about the two families auction. It is just that it is close to the Forest of Darkness, hence there are many rare treasures. Fighters can entrust their items to the two family. The two family will auction them and collect a fee. That is the gist of it. Because it is held once every half a year, and it is very close to the Forest of Darkness, some high-quality treasures often appear. As for why the people of the Empire did not receive the invitation, I'm afraid Palace Master Zhilan would know better. Hua Zhilan pouted. They're just afraid of the Empire of Darkness. The 8 great ancient clans of the same generation as the Empire of Darkness, the Legend of Qin and the Ghost Slaughter, were super forces that could compete with the Empire of Darkness at their peak. In the history of the Empire of Darkness, every time it declined, one of the 8 great ancient clans would rise. The rise of the Empire of Darkness is the fall of the 8 great ancient clans. The Two family is one of the 8 great ancient clans. Why would they give us an invitation? Hearing this, Su Yu understood. The 8 great ancient clans and the Empire of Darkness had such a history. Then, I wonder who has the upper hand between the Empire of Darkness and the 8 great ancient clans? Su Yu was curious. Chapter 315. Hundreds of years ago, the 2 ancient clans that dominated the northern continent, the Tu clan and the Yu clan, were suppressed by the King of Darkness. Among them, the Tu clan struggled at death's door, while the Yu clan was annihilated by the Emperor and erased from history. This is the only one of the 8 great ancient clans to have its name removed, the Yu clan. So he was shocked. The King of Darkness was really bold, as he had unexpectedly exterminated 2 clans in a row. Among them, the Yu clan was completely uprooted and removed from the world. The remaining 6 great ancient clans occupy the East, South, and West continents, and are on equal footing with the Empire of Darkness, Hua Zhilan said solemnly. During this conversation, Su Yu had learned a lot about the continent's secrets. He had once thought that the Empire of Darkness was an invincible existence in the Zhenlong continent. It was only now that he found out about the legends of the 8 ancient clans. Tu Long had an embarrassed expression on his face. Palace Master Zhilan, what she said is true. 1,000 years ago, the northern continent was occupied by the Tu and Yu clans. Together with the other 6 great ancient clans, they formed an encirclement to deal with the Empire of Darkness. Hundreds of years ago, the Empire of Darkness was besieged by the 8 great ancient clans. The situation was dire. At the critical juncture, the King of Darkness comprehended a divine skill and came out of seclusion. With a force that could sweep through everything, he forced the 8 great ancient clans to retreat. At the same time, we will step into the northern continent and annihilate the Tu and Yu families. Restore the northern continent, the birthplace of the Empire of Darkness. During this process, the Tu family voluntarily surrendered and managed to survive. However, the King of Darkness ordered that no one from the Tu family was allowed to leave the Dark Forest. Otherwise, their names would be erased from this world. Anyue City is the furthest the Tu clan can go. Anyue City was actually built by the Tu clan. They're the true controllers of Anyue City in the dark. As for the Yu family, due to their stubborn resistance, they were completely wiped out by the King of Darkness. The next few hundred years will be the unprecedented golden age of your Empire of Darkness. As a result, the Empire of Darkness has set up branch palaces in the East, South, and West continents at the same time. This shows how terrifying the King of Darkness is. In the Zhenlong continent, the King of Darkness is invincible. After hearing this, Su Yu was shocked for a long time. What a brilliant and unparalleled King of Darkness. It suppressed past generations, swept through the world, and devoured the world. Just who was this invincible supreme being of the continent? So you look forward to it. Could he reach the level of the King of Darkness by relying on the divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron? After understanding everything, Hua Zhilan smiled faintly. Junior Inu, what do you think? Su Yu's eyes flashed. Haha, the Tu family does not allow us to go, but we insist on going. What he was looking forward to the most was meeting with the people from the Phoenix Cabinet. Even if he was unable to see Xian personally, he would be able to ask about her current situation. After being separated for half a year, he wondered how Xian was doing. The Phoenix Cabinet's master valued her Phoenix of Death bloodline and would definitely nurture her with all her might. With Xian's personality, was she trained seriously? Could it be that she was secretly hiding somewhere and playing with a group of children, making a fuss? Or did she miss him? A desolate smile appeared at the corners of Su Yu's mouth. As he thought about it, he suddenly felt sad and slightly bitter. She was his fiancée in name, but they never had a peaceful day together. Did Xian, who had a tender heart, feel lonely? It is just as I thought. The auction is in 3 days. After we attend it, it will be the night of the full moon. We can head straight to the training grounds. Huajilan interrupted Su Yu's thoughts. Su Yu retracted his expression, nodding his head. All right, we will rest here for the next 2 days. After saying this, Su Yu looked at Tu Long. You can go home. Tu Long let out a bitter laugh. Back then, I stubbornly gave up my identity as a member of the Tu family and as the young master of the Tu family, just to see the world outside the forest of darkness. Now, how can I return to the clan so easily? Let's follow you and take a look at the Tu clan's auction. We might come into contact with some members of the Tu clan there. If they still remember me, we can go back. If they have already forgotten about me, why should we go back and cause them trouble? He was the young master of the Tu family? The crowd was shocked. They could not tell that Tu Long had such a background. The young master of the 8 great ancient clans. Such a position was no small matter. But he was someone who had given up his identity as a member of the Tu family. Everything was in the past. The group of people rested peacefully in the inn. So you did not forget to train even when he was resting. Now that 9 fingers of imaginary thunder had broken through to stage 1 top class, he was trying to comprehend stage 2. Heaven's Sun gazing at air had just broken through to stage 1 upper class, and he was still a distance away from stage 2. Lastly was Buddhist Saints 8 characters. He was only a step away from breaking through to lower class. But strangely, so he was unable to break through to the next level. It was as if there was a long threshold between entry and lower class. The difficulty of comprehending this legendary level technique far surpassed immortal level techniques. Over the past 4 days, Su Yu had made no progress. He had only stabilized his cultivation level at Immortal Realm level 1 peak. If he had the chance, he could try to break through to Immortal Realm level 2. Tonight was the night of the full moon, and it was also the day the Tu family's auction would begin. Su Yu and the other 3 left the inn, arriving at the Tu family's auction house in the center of Anua City. The entrance was heavily guarded. There were at least 10 strong Immortal Realm fighters. A white-haired elder sat in front of a table at the entrance, patiently appraising the item in his hand. Su Yu walked forward. The elder did not even raise his head. Stop. Hand over the deposit. Many auction houses had similar rules. Su Yu said, How much do I need to pay as a deposit? The guard replied expressionlessly. The more you pay, the higher the auction seats you can get. You can even get a seat in the VIP room. Su Yu nodded his head, taking out a white dragon plant. He had obtained it from the ancient Xianyun temple, and it had the effect of raising the cultivation level of those below Dragon Realm level 3. The elder did not even raise his head, merely taking a sniff with his nose. A white dragon plant. Lower class seats, place it on the table. Su Yu was slightly surprised. What powerful appraisal skills. He could tell that it was a white dragon plant without even looking. Whoosh! Su Yu took out a jade box. A fiery red phoenix feather lay quietly within, circulating a resplendent fiery red color. Shreds of warm energy seeped out from the cracks of the jade box. The elder subconsciously took a sniff with his nose, his expression slightly stunned. He could not help but raise his head, his gaze landing on the jade box. He took it and examined it. His indifferent expression gradually changed, becoming serious. This is a phoenix feather. You are not from the cabinet of the phoenix, right? I do not remember them agreeing to participate in the auction. The elder sized up the 4 of them, his eyes filled with suspicion. It was obvious that he was suspicious that the phoenix feather had come from a shady background. Su Yu creased his brows. Just because I'm not from the cabinet of the phoenix, does that mean I did not have the chance to obtain the phoenix feather? Since I dare to take it out, I'm naturally not afraid of the people from the cabinet of the phoenix finding trouble with me. The elder's tone was unfriendly. I do not care if you swindled your way here. What I am worried about is people with unknown identities and motives sneaking into the auction to cause trouble. The crowd could not help but be furious. This elder's words were too harsh. He had already reiterated that the phoenix feather had come from a legitimate background, yet he still wanted to label Su Yu and his group as swindlers. Creasing his brows, Su Yu calmly said, Let me ask you one question. Is the item I gave you qualified to enter? For some unknown reason, the elder was extremely hostile towards Su Yu and his group. It is qualified, but I will not allow you to enter. The two family has never welcomed lowly people like you." The elder was extremely prejudiced, waving his sleeves as if he was chasing away flies. "Leave. I will not go back on my word." Lowly people? Suyu did not know how to communicate with such a stubborn elder. This was the two families' auction house, and he could not afford to lose his temper. He could only suppress his anger. "All right, we will not enter the two families' auction house. We will leave now." Tu Long had secretly sent a message that there was another way to enter, and they did not need to go through this elder. "Have a safe trip. I will not send you off." The elder sat down, letting out a disdainful laugh. He had seen too many people like Suyu, who thought that he was at ease after being rejected. "Oh, have you finished looking at the phoenix feather? Bring it over if you are." Suyu grabbed the jade box on the table. But what Suyu did not expect was for the elder to snatch it first, grabbing the jade box and slowly placing it in his robes. Suyu's gaze turned cold. "What do you mean?" The elder did not even raise his head, calmly saying, "The two family has a duty to confiscate ill-gotten gains. I have said that I obtained this from the master of the Phoenix Cabinet." Suyu's tone was cold. The elder waved his hands in disgust. "Noisy. I will contact the Phoenix Cabinet to confirm the origins of this item. If it is true, I will return it to you. Come back in 3 months." He forcefully took Suyu's item and actually dared to say that Suyu would take it back in 3 months, putting aside the question of whether he could get the item back from the on-US city of the 8 great ancient clans. Even if he could, the Phoenix Feather was a one-time use item. If they used it all, where'd he find more? "My patience has run out. I will warn you one last time. Hand it over." Suyu was burning with anger. Looking at it now, the elder was purposely making things difficult for him because he wanted to take the Phoenix Feather for himself. It was rare for Suyu to be so shameless in front of so many people. Slap. The elder slammed the table fiercely, brushing his sleeves as he stood up, his face filled with disgust and impatience. "I do not wish to repeat myself." Scram. A bunch of lowlifes. Seeing that Suyu and his group were standing at their original positions, with no intention of leaving, the elder turned his head and berated. "Where are the guards?" Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. 10 strong martial artists of the immortal realm appeared in a flash and surrounded Suyu and the other 3 people. The leader of the guards was a strong man of immortal realm level 2 lower tier. Elderly, what is going on with these two? The elder who was addressed as elderly had a look of disgust in his eyes. A few lowly people pretended to be from the Phoenix Cabinet. "I only confiscated their stolen goods. Chase them away. If they don't know what's good for them, we can also capture them." The strong man shot a cold gaze towards Suyu. "How daring. I have seen many impersonators, but I have never heard of anyone impersonating the Phoenix Cabinet." Suyu remained silent, and his face was as cold as ice. They were in cahoots. Suyu naturally could not be bothered to explain. Only fists could solve problems. Humph. There is no need to quibble. Quibbling is futile. Scram immediately. The strong man thought that Suyu would defend himself. Without even looking, he raised his hand to chase Suyu away. Suyu lifted his head coldly, his eyes filled with killing intent. "You asked for it." Chapter 316. The guard leader sneered, causing trouble at the two clans' auction house. "Before you come, shouldn't you ask around about the surname of the on-US city?" He had seen many reckless and ignorant people like Suyu. "Capture them and bring them back for interrogation." The leader of the guards stood at the side and said indifferently. The 9 guards acted swiftly, and they immediately attacked Suyu and the others from different directions. Suyu said nothing more. There was only one way to communicate with such a person. Force. Tribulation of ice and thunder. Suyu shouted in a low voice, and a dark cloud formed in the sky. A purple thunder dragon whizzed down, roaring crazily with Suyu and the other 3 at its center. Pitter-patter, puff. The 9 immortal realm level 1 guards surrounding him did not even have time to react before they were sent flying by a purple dragon. The eyes of the guard leader, who was standing with his arms crossed, shrunk to the size of a needle, sending 9 immortal realm fighters flying with one strike. After his body stiffened for a moment, the leader of the guards came back to his senses. His heart thumped wildly, and he spat out a mouthful of saliva. He put on a brave front and scolded, "How dare you? How dare you hurt the two families' guards?" Su Yu's silver hair fluttered in the wind, and his eyes shone with a sharp light. "Are you joking with me? If I don't hurt them, am I supposed to wait for them to hurt me?" As he finished speaking, he strode towards the guard leader. The leader of the guards forced himself to calm down. "What do you want? If you dare to harm me, the two clan will not forgive you." Su Yu shook his head disdainfully. "This is not something a guard should say. As a guard, you should protect your master, not count on him to back you up." Su Yu said indifferently. As he spoke, Su Yu stepped forward and pointed a finger at him. The leader of the guards was frightened and hurriedly responded, "Do you think I'm afraid of you?" After a while, he calmed down a little. Just now, he was frightened by the tribulation of ice and thunder. Now that he sensed it carefully, he realized that Su Yu was only an immortal level 1, far inferior to him. 3 styles of windbreaker. The guard leader shouted in a low voice. His palms moved like the wind, leaving a series of afterimages in the air. Immortal spirit cultivation method, first stage, small success. Su Yu's expression was indifferent, a small ball of lightning forming on his fingertip. Thunderstar finger. Su Yu only used 30% of its power. Chila, rumble. As soon as they collided, the guard leader's palm was blasted into a bloody mess. Rub, rub, rub. After being forced back 3 steps, the leader of the guards turned pale with fright. Immortal level 1 perfection. Who are you? How could a 16-year-old comprehend the first level of an immortal spirit cultivation technique? It was impossible for him not to have been nurtured by any force with such peerless comprehension. Su Yu laughed. "Oh, you're not going to bring me back for interrogation, but to inquire about my background?" Shaking his head, Su Yu stepped forward again and pointed his finger. The leader of the guards felt a sharp pain in his palm. How could he resist it? He hurriedly retreated and roared in sorrow. "Don't go too far." Su Yu couldn't help but laugh out loud. "Going too far? Who was the one who wanted to capture me just now? You didn't even give me any chance to quibble and told me to get lost? Not only have you taken my things, but you also want to capture my people. All the good things in the world have been taken by you." Chila, Xiao Chun sent out another lightning star finger, striking the other party's chest. With a miserable groan, the guard leader fainted on the spot. "With just this bit of ability, you want to steal things by force?" Su Yu shook his head, shooting a cold gaze toward the elder. At this moment, he saw that the situation was not good and wanted to escape. His old face was pale, his face turning green as he frantically ran toward the interior of the auction house. "You want to leave?" Su Yu ran as if he was flying, his figure like an illusion. He caught up to him and grabbed his neck. Let go." The elder was in pain. Whoosh! Su Yu took out a jade box from his robes, laughing coldly. "You're already so old, yet you're still playing such tricks. Don't you find it embarrassing?" Actually, Su Yu's heart was as clear as a mirror. A master appraiser of the older generation like him had seen countless treasures and people. He knew what kind of person could be greedy for treasures and what kind of person could not be greedy for treasures. Su Yu's group of 4 did not have high abilities, and their faces were unfamiliar. In addition, they were young and had no elders by their side. They were easy targets to bully. To think that Su Yu's abilities far exceeded what he looked like on the surface, causing them to stumble. "I am an appraiser from the Tu family. It is not too late to stop now. If not, the Tu family would not slap." Su Yu slapped him across the face, causing the old man to see stars. "Unrepentant," Su Yu said coldly. "I have told you time and time again that the phoenix feather has a righteous origin. You should have stopped your greedy heart then. I have tolerated your unreasonable actions, and you should have stopped while you were ahead. Unfortunately, you have challenged my patience time and time again. Do you think that your identity as an appraiser can cover up everything?" Su Yu threw him to the ground. The elder, who did not have a high cultivation level, spat out blood on the spot. He clutched his waist, letting out a horrible shriek. "You say that we are swindlers and despicable. Have you not realized that you are the true, despicable one? To covet the items of others, you are unscrupulous. Suyu kept the phoenix feather, his eyes filled with murderous intent. He lifted his leg, wanting to teach this old thing a lesson that he would never forget. At this moment, a green-haired elder walked out quickly from within the auction house. He was close to 50 years old, his hair half white, with a large amount of silver hair mixed in with his black hair. He wore a gray robe, giving off an imposing aura. "Please stop," the gray-robed, middle-aged man shouted. Suyu looked over, gradually lowering his leg. "Why? Are you here for revenge?" This person was not weak, at a mortal realm level 2 peak. He was much stronger than the leader of the guards. The wailing elder on the ground looked as if he had found his savior, crawling to the front of the gray-robed, middle-aged man. "Master, please help me. This person is cruel by nature, trying to barge into the auction." Slap. But before he could finish his sentence, a giant palm slapped his face fiercely. Under the huge force, the elder lost a few of his teeth, his mouth full of blood. His eyes were wide open. "Master, why did you bastard? Still not apologizing? The ones standing in front of you are Palace Master Jalon and Palace Master Inu." The gray-robed, middle-aged man was disappointed. The elder's body turned rigid, his teeth chattering. "Palace, Master." His lips trembling, the elder looked towards Suyu and Hua Jalon, filled with fear. I'm sorry." Suyu could not be bothered to look at him. Instead, he turned his attention to the gray-robed, middle-aged man, secretly surprised. He had only been Palace Master Inu for a mere 3 months, and had only officially appeared in the sub-palace a month ago. But this person could recognize his and Hua Jalon's identities at a glance. A thread of caution circled Suyu's heart. The two family was trapped in the dark forest, but they were still so well informed. The two family was not content with the current situation. Chapter 317. With his identity exposed, Suyu would not hesitate. "Thank you." After thanking him, he entered the VIP lounge with Hua Jalon and the other two, led by a maid. Looking at the backs of Suyu and his group of people leaving, Tu Minghua's hearty smile gradually disappeared and was replaced by a gloomy expression. "Do you know why I slapped you just now?" Tu Minghua said coldly, his hands behind his back. The elder covered his face, saying softly, "You misjudged and offended the wrong people." Unexpectedly, Tu Minghua shook his head. "What does a mere deputy palace master amount to? Unless Ling Xiaotian descends, these two lasses and brat are not worthy of the two families' fear. I can kill them with just a thought. There is only one reason why you were slapped. You are too petty. You use such methods for a mere phoenix feather. It is not worth it." Tu Minghua stared at the elder in disappointment. "Your future depends on how big your heart is. To achieve great things, you must dare to think and dare to act." Tu Minghua seemed to be implying something. The elder shuddered, lowering his head in acknowledgement. "Also, did you notice that one-armed youth?" Tu Minghua suddenly squinted his eyes. The elder froze, thinking back, his expression slowly changing. "He looks like the former young master. Too long." Tu Minghua's eyes glowed. "It really is him." After thinking for a long time, Tu Minghua's eyes glowed coldly. Since he has already left, why bother him by returning? "Go, inform a young master immediately. Let him decide." The elder felt the gravity of the matter, not daring to delay, immediately leaving. VIP lounge. It was spacious and comfortable, overlooking the auction from above. Sitting on the couch, Suyu was deep in thought. The two family was ultimately a threat to the Empire of Darkness. Why did the King of Darkness leave them alive? With the boldness of the King of Darkness, he was definitely not being merciful. But why did he leave the two family alone? If the roots were not removed, the weeds would grow again. Could it be that the King of Darkness had some reservations? Hence he did not dare to exterminate the two family? But the King of Darkness was already the undefeatable ruler of the continent, suppressing all previous kings. Who else could stop the King of Darkness? As he was deep in thought, Tu Long let out a self-mocking laugh. "Looks like I should not have returned." As smart as he was, it was impossible for him not to notice the unfamiliarity in Tu Minghua's eyes. So you did not reply. This was Tu Long's own choice. The auction was about to begin. The crowd below moved. They came from various forces of the northern continent, and their strength varied. While waiting anxiously, Tu Minghua returned to host the auction. Ladies and gentlemen, the long-awaited auction has officially begun. Tu Minghua's voice rose and fell. The first auction item, please enter the stage. Voila! The curtain was lifted, and two beautiful maids walked over with a tattered ancient scroll in their hands. The first auction item is a beast-taming scroll left behind by the Yu clan, one of the 8 great ancient clans. It's only 30% complete. Hearing this, the audience went into an uproar. More than 90% of the people on the mainland knew nothing about the 8 ancient clans. Only a few people knew about the rumors about them. Who would have thought that the first item to be auctioned in this auction would be the inheritance of the extinct Yu clan of the 8 major ancient clans? As everyone knows, the Yu clan of the 8 great ancient clans are proficient in the art of taming beasts. They can control tens of thousands of beasts for their own use. They have the ability to penetrate through the heavens and the earth. The audience was already in an uproar. Countless people were rubbing their fists, waiting to bid. Even if it was only a third of the scroll, even if its effects were not shocking, it could not match the reputation of one of the 8 great ancient clans. I don't think I need to explain the significance of this scroll. Currently, the client is only willing to exchange it for an immortal level technique, and it must be the complete version. Hearing this, the audience below the stage was instantly more than half gone. An immortal level technique was not difficult for the slightly stronger forces of the northern continent. What was difficult was the complete version. Looking at the world, most of the immortal level techniques passed down from the ancient times were incomplete. The complete version was pathetically rare. Apart from the 3 super forces of the northern continent, the sub-palace of the Empire of Darkness, and the 2 family of the 8 great ancient clans, no other clan could guarantee that they had a complete immortal level technique. Such a high price had blocked most of the people outside the auction. Only a small number of people had hesitation in their eyes. I wonder what type the other party is looking for. Not long after, a questioning voice came from below the stage. Someone was tempted. That's right. Let's first explain the type of technique. The value of offensive techniques and support techniques is like heaven and earth. Although they are both offensive techniques, the difference between the different types is like the difference between the clouds and the mud. It is difficult for us to estimate the price of a complete immortal level technique. Tu Minghua smiled and was about to reply. Suddenly, a graceful and indifferent voice resounded in the VIP lounge. Whatever cultivation technique he wants, I have it. This scroll belongs to me. So he was familiar with this voice. Wasn't it one of the 4 great sons of the Snow Listening Tower, Wei Tianxin? His tone was extremely arrogant. He did not ask what technique the other party needed, deciding that he had it. This showed how many complete immortal level techniques the Snow Listening Tower had. An immortal level technique with a fire element. Tu Minghua looked toward the VIP lounge. The room was silent for a moment. Creak! A fiery red scroll was thrown out. Tu Minghua grabbed it with his palm, flipping through it. He was full of smiles as he threw the incomplete scroll into the VIP lounge. Congratulations, the exchange is a success. The crowd looked toward Wei Tianxin's VIP lounge, their eyes filled with shock. Suyu was even more surprised. Could it be that Wei Tianxin carried many techniques with him? Hua Zhilan's expression turned serious. As expected of the heavenly book, Wei Tianxin, it is rumored that he has a photographic memory and has a photographic memory. He can remember anything that he has seen. Furthermore, he has cultivated a special technique that allows him to extract the memories from his mind and imprint them on a piece of paper. Hence, he is called the Heavenly Book. There was such an extraordinary person in the world. So he was secretly shocked, following which the auction continued. But the dozens of items were all normal items, far from being as attractive as the first item, until an item appeared. Next, it is an item from the Tu family. Tu Minghua personally took out a small jade bottle from his robes. A drop of fiery red liquid lay quietly within. The moment it appeared, the divine ice ring on Su Yu's finger moved restlessly. Su Yu was slightly shocked. The divine ice ring was a broken divine artifact. It had been completely destroyed and lost most of its spiritual qualities. Even so, it moved restlessly and its spiritual qualities were stimulated. What was that red spiritual liquid for it to be so shocking? The crowd below the stage, which had been silent for a long time, once again erupted in cheers. Oh my God! It is the two families' 10,000 soldier liquid. Legend has it that after soaking in it, it can erase the owner's imprint. It is an item unique to the two family, one of the 8 great ancient clans. 10,000 soldier liquid. Tu Long had a nostalgic expression. Within the 10,000 soldier pool, a drop is formed every 10 years. If one obtains it, it can be used to cleanse divine artifacts. After 10,000 years of accumulation, there was once a small pool. Unfortunately, it was snatched away by the King of Darkness. Over the hundreds of years, the amount that the two family had accumulated was very little.